Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. A Utah lawmaker wants to take another step to prepare for future government shutdowns. Representative Paul Cutler has proposed a bill to keep land managed by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in Utah open during future shutdowns. Utah Shooting Sports Council Director Bill Peterson spoke in favor of the bill. He says the hunting community was hit hard during a government shutdown a few years ago.
It was right during the middle of the hunting season. It impacted everyone. And so it's definitely going to impact the local economy as well.
The state already pays to keep our national parks and other federally managed lands open during shutdowns. A bridge spanning Bear River is closed after inspectors say corrosion has made it too weak to use. The bridge between Fairview and Weston at West 3600 South, Cache Valley Daily reports Franklin County plans to repair it later this year. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, tens of thousands of displaced Palestinians are now heading back to what's left of northern Gaza following the ceasefire.
Israeli forces initially blocking Gazans from heading north after accusing Hamas of breaking the terms of the truce, saying they did not release a female Israeli hostage. Israel now says the woman, 29-year-old Abel Yahud, will be released on Thursday along with two other hostages, resolving the dispute and prompting Israel to reopen that corridor to North Gaza.
ABC News foreign correspondent Britt Clinette reporting. Your money at this moment, it's been kind of a rough morning starting things off, but the Dow is actually down only 0.1%, 49 points to 44,375. Coming up, we got traffic still slow in parts of Parley's Canyon, although it is starting to improve in other spots. Traffic and weather together coming up next. KSL News Time 9:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Utah State Fair Park. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Utah State Fair Park. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Utah State Fair Park. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Utah State Fair Park. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Utah State Fair Park. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Utah State Fair Park. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission. Free delivery. Utah State Fair Park. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-292-7788. 800-292-7788.
Discover the timeless value at Duke's Jewelers, a local treasure since 1948. Whether you're searching for a unique engagement ring or need expert watch repair, Duke's has been serving the community for over 75 years. From January 23rd to 25th, don't miss the largest event of the year, a 50% off closeout sale on select jewelry. It's the perfect time to visit and explore the wide selection of custom designs and quality gemstones. The skilled designers at Duke's can bring your dream piece to life, while experienced jewelers handle repairs and modifications in-house. Duke's Jewelers takes pride in value pricing, ensuring you receive the best prices every day. Need an appraisal? The Duke's Jewelers AGS certified gemologist is here to help. Whether it's hand or machine engraving or redesigning old favorites into something new, get personalized service for every occasion. Visit Duke's Jewelers and experience the difference of locally operated expertise and dedication. Duke's Jewelers in Springfield, Utah.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Here's Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, it took them a little extra time, but they have cleared that accident westbound I-80 in Parleys, and all lanes are open and regular speeds back to normal there in Parleys. If you're northbound I-15, you're going to be a little bit sluggish right around the south interchange, and then again, really the heaviest part we are seeing is headed from the I-80 interchange into downtown Salt Lake City. No reports of an accident or anything, just some fairly sluggish traffic trying to get into downtown at this point. Whipple Service Champions, your cooling, heating, plumbing, drains, and electrical specialists. Whipple that away. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be sunny with highs in the upper 30s. Right now it's sunny and 25 degrees, so we're not quite there yet. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, we're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
Imagine hearing this, Dave, on Utah's Morning News. 114% increase in home prices in 1 year in one Utah city. Now, that's Park City. 114% increase in home prices in just 1 year. And we've got a full list of other cities that have also seen double-digit price increases in terms of percentage. We're going to get into that right now.
Sell. I mean, I could not sell fast enough.
Where would you go?
Are you kidding me? It doesn't matter. It does not matter where you go. I'll live in a tent, because if it's gone up 114% in 1 year, yeah, there's no way I can just sit on that and think, well, I think it'll get a little better.
Well, you don't live in Park City, though, so you don't have to worry about that, right? I don't see it.
I wish I did.
I don't see it any time that you and I will ever live in Park City. I was looking at the home price there in Park City. According to Redfin, it's like last year, the median home price in Park City, you ready for this? Are you sitting down? $2.9 million. On average.
But it was only 1.45 last year, so.
114% increase. I want to get back to the list because many of us don't live in Park City, and if you do, your home went up a lot. I also want to talk about other cities along the Wasatch Front and beyond, because frankly, I thought these prices would go up a lot more than they did so maybe this is actually a good report. But I've got my list of concerns that I wrote down before the show with these home prices that keep going up, and I'm going to get into that in just a moment. We're also going to take your live calls because Dave wondered if these home price increases have us thinking about other areas that we could live off the Wasatch Front. So our call question, 801-575-TALK, is how far off the Wasatch Front are you willing to go to get into a more affordable home? Give us a call. We're going to take your calls live in just a few minutes at 801-575-TALK. I'm curious. Would it be Tremonton? Would it be Nephi? Would you live in Price?
That's exactly where my brain went.
Really?
Tremonton. Now, Tremonton feels forever away. So I had to do a little Google mapping to see if I could commute that every single day. And it's about an hour and 10 minutes. My normal commute, that's just one way. An hour and 10 minutes. That's the commute. Normally it's 30 minutes. So would I be willing to double my commute time for a more affordable home?
The price in Tremonton, the median home price in Tremonton, again, according to Redfin, $390,000. But you better act fast and you better act now because that's up 6.5% year over year. The home prices there are increasing too, not as much as Park City, not too surprising. But almost 6.5% increase. So what is that, about $18,000 year over year?
So you start seeing that. We start growing and expanding where we're willing to live, right? At first, say you work downtown. Okay, let's look around, see how expensive it is to live in Salt Lake. Okay, I can't live in Salt Lake, so maybe I can live in Bountiful and Kaysville and then Layton, Ogden. we've moved past the Ogden realm. It's not even Ogden anymore. Now you've got to do the outskirts of Ogden.
Caitlin, our producer, can you look up real quickly on Redfin what the median home price is in Ogden and how much it's gone up year over year? I noticed that we didn't put that on our list. Our D2 research department this morning didn't quite get to Ogden, but we did get other areas. I'm going to get into those in just a minute, but I want to talk about Draper. Draper, according to this Redfin report, up almost 40% year over year. Riverton, not far from where I live, home prices there have increased a little bit, a skitch. Is that a word? Skitch, over 23%. But let's look at the prices there. So let's start with Draper. The median home sale price in Draper, it's over $1 million. Over $1 million. Who would have known?
Just take these individually. If you were to say, if we had said nothing more and started this segment off and saying, in Riverton, prices have gone up 23%, nearly 25% in just 1 year, we would have been flabbergasted, shocked. But that's number 4 on the list. The fact that Draper is approaching 40%, that Park City is well over 100%, I don't even know how to process these numbers right now.
Well, you got to move to Ogden because it's $373,000 for a home in median home price, but that is up as well, a little over 6.5%. Let me go through my list of what I worry about when it comes to these numbers, because I tend not to look at it from a home seller's perspective. Like, I own a home, lucky me. I'm going to sell. My question always is where am I going to go? What am I going to trade in for? Because anywhere else I'm going to look around, it's going to be expensive. We're going to take your live calls in the next few minutes. 801-575-TALK. How far off the Wasatch Front are you willing to go to get a better deal on a home? Is it Tremont? Because homes there, on average, less than $400K. Are you willing to take the drive up from Nephi every day down, about an hour and 20 minutes south of Salt Lake City? Home prices there have dipped a little bit. You can pick one up, median home price there, about $383,000. But my list is curious to me because after I wrote it, it's like the first one is obvious and the other two aren't as obvious. So the first thing I worry about is my kids. I'll say that until they're putting me in the ground. What about my kids? Are they okay? Are my kids going to be okay? Can they afford a home? Can they get? You got to be worried about your kids too, or maybe you don't, Dave, the same way I do. If I want my kids to live near me, not with me, they got to be able to afford a home, and even at $400K, that is a huge number.
Yeah, it is a big number, but this is the way I'm starting to look at it differently. When we start accepting the fact that we're not going to live 20 minutes or 15 minutes or 10 minutes for mom and dad, it's just resetting the way we think about things. Because is there really that much of a difference? For example, I've been traveling 30 minutes into work for decades now. I don't give it a second thought. If I can get a home for $200,000 less, is that worth the extra hour of commute time?
Every day.
Every single day.
Both ways.
Both.
It's like an extra hour would be 10 hours a week.
Yeah. And absolutely. To save $200,000, is that worth it for me? I look at it completely differently because what would I have to do to make up that extra $200,000? Well, how much more money would I have to make? Is it a side job? Is it a side hustle? Is it a second job or a third job? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. To be able to afford something where I only have a 30-minute commute versus an hour or an hour and 15-minute commute. So I look at it and I think we're just not expanding our horizons enough. I think we've got to start looking at living farther away from the Wasatch Front.
That extra 10 hours a week sounds absolutely wild to me. And I guess that's if all conditions are perfect. You and I've worked in jobs where all conditions are not perfect. Mm-hmm. We cannot be guaranteed that we won't be called in on a weekend or early to work or have to stay late. And so we're commuting home at 10 o'clock or 10:30. Like there are some nights, and you did the same, where I'd come in at 8 in the morning and I would leave here at 11 p.m. So I'm looking at an hour and a half long commute at 11 o'clock at night and saying, no, thank you. I've got to figure out another way to afford this, $600,000 home somewhere along the Wasatch Front. It could be renting out a room to somebody so I can make up some of the mortgage payment. It could be with, like you said, with a side hustle, which would be even more time spent away from my family. But I'm also worried that with these home prices, that new home buyers, young home buyers are going to be getting in over their heads right away. And I worry about that because they will be so mortgage poor that they won't be able to have fun in life. They just won't be able to have fun in life. They'll be so strapped financially to their home because you look at near 7% interest right now for mortgages. And $500,000 to $600,000 to get into a home, they're going to be so financially strapped. They're going to be going through life bored. They can't afford to go to a concert. They can't afford to go out to dinner. They can't afford to ever go on a vacation, and they're going to be so financially strapped to their home that it's not going to be feasible. And then my goodness, if one of them loses a job, because you need two incomes right now, in most cases, to afford a home. If one of them loses a job, then there's the mental stress that goes along with that. So I worry about that as well.
And it's definitely one of the things you should take into account, right? Well, what does my entire life look like? And the more I think about it, the more I realize the commute is probably the easiest solution. Trying to find a second job, trying to find a side hustle that works with the rest of your life, that is incredibly difficult. One of the easiest things to fit into your life is a longer commute time. So if I can live in Ogden, in Tremonton, that is $200,000 less on average for a home, that to me makes all the sense in the world. It's the easiest solution. You're putting miles on the car. I get that. But for me, it would be the difference between being a homeowner and renting.
How far are you willing to live off the Wasatch Front in order to afford a home? We're looking at some new numbers from Redfin, and they are staggering. Like the cost alone, Park City, put that one in a bubble and let that go, because the median home price in Park City is just about $3 million. But it's gone up 114% year over year, according to Redfin. In Draper, it's an increase of 37%. Home prices have gone up 37%. In Riverton, 23%. I always get confused as where Santaquin is exactly on the map, but it's down in the Utah County area, right, Dave? Utah County.
Yeah.
So maybe 45 minutes from Salt Lake City. The home prices there up almost 34%. And Magna, home prices in Magna have gone up 10%.
Well, and some of the things that we have to look at is we're comparing a lot of this to working down in Salt Lake because that's where we work. But living in Santaquin or living in Nephi, if you work in Provo, it's not that bad.
It works.
It's not that different. Right. And we just need to figure out how far am I going to live outside of where I work, whether it's in Ogden. All of a sudden, Tremonton doesn't sound so crazy, right? If I'm commuting into Ogden, that's 15, 20 minutes. It's no different than, you and I traveling downtown.
I always looked at Magna as a city where you could afford a home, right? You could afford a starter home. Median home price in Magna is now $451,000.
That surprises me.
Way to go, Magna.
Yeah. Up 10%.
Caitlin Johnston, our producer, you grew up in Price, which is about an hour and 20 minutes outside of Salt Lake?
Yeah, about that time.
Do you know people who actually commute?
Yes.
In from Price?
Yes. And when I was in high school, I had friends whose parents did that. This is an argument, I will say, as well for hybrid work, because I also know people who work a few days from home in Price and come up once or twice a week. That I could see as being maintainable. It would be a little exhausting. I could never do it every single day. I think I would have a very hard time with that.
Well, you've got that Highway 6, too, which is pretty
safe.
Notorious for some pretty horrific accidents.
Yes.
Could you imagine driving that a couple of times a week?
I don't know how people do it, but I know people do. My dad, for example, he doesn't drive up here, but he commutes at least an hour to his job. and lives in Price, but it's just he works near mine, so it's usually about an hour. So people do it, but I come from a small town where I'm used to everything being 5 minutes away. So 30 minutes for me is kind of a lot.
Yeah. And if you were to travel an hour and a half every single day or several times a week, the question is the trade-off. How much does it cost to live in Price compared to the average home in Utah, which is $563,000?
Yeah.
How much is Price?
I think when we looked at it, it was $288. I can't remember.
$288,000.
Yeah.
It's up 8%
And
year over year.
That's high to me in Price.
But you brought up a point when we were talking about this before the show. $288,000 sounds like a fabulous.
It does. From retrospect, from
here.
here.
But from our perspective. But when you go into some of these homes in your hometown, and look at them from a buyer's perspective, what are your concerns?
Well, I see them online because I get curious, what's going on there, and they are fixer-uppers. They're not large spaces, and they're very old, and they require a lot of work, and all of them only have one bathroom. I don't know why we can't have houses with two bathrooms, because they're almost, some of them can be perfect, but there's only one bathroom. Like, it's fine. I grew up with one bathroom. It's okay.
You can do it,
but I become spoiled, and so when you're paying for this price for a house, you would expect more than that. But yeah, I noticed that they're fixer-uppers, and Price they are building a lot of housing there and apartments, but they can't sell because of how high the cost is. So even when you get these newer homes, people aren't buying them. So it's a problem.
Because of the location.
Yeah, and maybe the location. Because it's crossed my mind. Could I commute from Price? Yeah, I would absolutely hate it, and the winter would be terrible. So
that's
not
another
realistic.
thing is the winter conditions. When you talk about Dave moving up to Tremont, and where a home is under $400,000, you get a bad snowstorm, and you got an hour and a half long commute.
Even 15 minutes
and you're no
is
longer
hard.
allowed to work from home because we're on a return to office mission now. You've got to make your way in. Yeah, you're right. An hour and a half in the snow, there's no way. You'd have a lot of employees who live in that area taking a sick of work day or sick of snow day.
But I can tell you, I would doubt many people, probably nobody from Provo, thinks about living in Price as a possibility. But now you're talking, maybe an hour commute?
I would say Spanish Fork Provo would be even more considerable. Salt Lake, it just adds more time to it. So,
But I think in our brains we think of all the reasons not to do it. We think about the snowstorms. We think about the dangerous Highway 6. But listen, people travel that all the time, every day, and they do so safely. And if it's the difference between getting into a home and being a homeowner and not, I think we limit ourselves in our brains because obviously we want the convenience of a 15 or 20-minute commute versus an hour. But I just think the easiest thing in my life to add is not a second job. It's not a side hustle. It's not running Uber Eats on the side or being an Uber driver. It is, can I throw an extra hour in my day in the commute or maybe an extra hour and a half to make the difference between owning a home and not? And I'll say, I don't think that way naturally. I don't naturally think, hey, I'm going to spread out farther into the places where the homes are more affordable.
What's the, I wouldn't say nightlife, but what's the day and nightlife like in Price? Is it happening?
No. But that's a selling point. It's quiet.
Okay.
So it could be a selling
Sure.
point. I have mixed I
Sure.
grew up there.
Okay.
I miss the simplicity of it. However, there's
Yeah.
a lot more opportunity here.
Do you get bored?
You get creative when you get bored, all right? So you drive around a lot. There's parks, there's places to go, but yeah, it's a pro and con type of
So
thing.
it's more than just sacrificing 10 hours a week in the car back and forth down up and down Highway 6 in a snowstorm.
If you have
day.
a reason to be there, it makes sense. For me, it would make sense.
What's date night look like for Dave and his wife if they move to Price, Caitlin? That's what we all want to know.
Good
What is
hiking.
Date
Go to the
like?
Cowboy Club dinner.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And we had a text, 801 at 57500, excuse me. Somebody wanted to know, what the price increase in Morgan, Utah, which is up north from Salt Lake City. The average median home price right now in Morgan is about $705,000. It's up 20% year over year. It's a beautiful place. It's gorgeous up in Morgan.
Well, we saw this incredible jump in housing prices during COVID. We saw it just spike, and then it settled down for a hot minute, and now it looks like it's going right back up.
it feels like we're chasing the wind a little bit with housing prices. Keep thinking they're going to come back down so our kids can afford to buy one, and then boom, they go way up, way up. Straight ahead, a Utah lawmaker wants to make it illegal to force kids who can't afford school lunch to do chores to pay for their meal. Is this a thing in Utah? Representative Tyler Clancy joining the conversation next.
The newest part of your morning, and still so familiar.
When you wake up and listen to a radio show, it's like you're a part of a family. You're listening in on people you know, and it's magnificent that Andy Farnsworth is sitting in the chair because he's someone we know.
Utah's Morning News. Andy Farnsworth joins Amanda Dixon to bring you important news in the car. 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
You've seen the Master Electrical Service vans driving around the Wasatch Front for years. For decades, since 1954. Well, now Master Electrical Service has taken this incredible name in this company that they've developed over decades and joined Mountain Home Services.
And it's so great because they can not only deal with your electrical needs, maybe you need a new EV charger or you've been putting off buying that generator. Well, this is the year to do it. You're going to upgrade that recessed lighting in your living room. They can do that for you too. And now that they've joined forces with Mountain Home Services, they can help you with your HVAC.
Yeah, the heating and air and plumbing can be taken care of. So you've got this one company with so much expertise that they can draw from. You're not having to make 15 different calls to have someone help you with your house. So it's one call, they'll take care of everything, and it all comes with that upfront pricing guarantee.
Which is great because that means the price you're quoted when they come to your house and give you your bid is the price you pay when the job is done. So that means there's no hidden fees.
Make sure you check them out. MountainHomeservices.com is the website, MountainHomeservices.com.
Or you can call them, 801-543-2222. Again, that phone number is 801-543-2222.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. Some people think if they repeat something that's false enough times, it'll become true. In the age of artificial intelligence, that's doubly dangerous. AI can sometimes access the wrong data and produce wrong outputs. However, we might mistakenly think that information from AI is always correct because it is from AI. Computers will never replace humans in moral judgments and in fact determination. AI is intelligence, but not ethical judgment. We need to make sure that we continue to make those judgments, even though AI will give us more information and be very useful. To learn more about ethical decision-making, consider an MBA from Utah State University. Go to utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Hey, this is Dan the Laptop Man from PC Laptops. Myth. You might have heard that you need to spend a fortune these days to get a powerful computer. Correction. At PC Laptops, we wanted to prove that wrong. So here's the most amazing deal that we've ever done at PC Laptops for you in over 30 years. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else do you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Take one home today. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $9.99, PCLaptops.com.
It's 9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Investigators are still trying to figure out what caused an Ogden apartment under construction to go up in flames over this weekend. Ogden City Fire Chief Mike Matthews says so far they don't think this fire was human-caused, but he does think it started on the inside of the building.
Because of the wind coming from the east to the west, and the fire started somewhere, we're trying to zero in now. I can't tell you exactly where, but somewhere within the interior of the building, that it spread quickly.
Matthews says they are planning to bring in heavy equipment today to go through debris and hopefully figure out what started the fire. A high-speed 4-car crash sent one woman to the hospital over the weekend. Salt Lake City police say it happened at State Street and 400 South late Friday night. They believe an 18-year-old driver was under the influence when he crashed into a car at a red light and caused it to flip. That driver is now facing several charges. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Senate confirmation hearings will continue this week for several high-profile Trump cabinet picks. ABC's Jay O'Brien reports.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Trump's pick to run the Department of Health and Human Services, expected to get grilled by lawmakers on everything from false claims he's made on vaccines and antidepressants to his push to get fluoride out of the drinking water. Senators, we know, also preparing tough questions for Tulsi Gabbard, Trump's choice for Director of National Intelligence, zeroing in on past statements she's made sympathetic to Russia.
It's also Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth's first day of work since being confirmed last week. Your money at this moment, the Dow's down 73 points. It's the NASDAQ that's off a whole bunch, down 3.25%. But the Dow only down 73 to 44,350. Coming up, we've got just kind of cold sunshine on the weather, and traffic's looking better than earlier. Traffic and weather together coming up next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
You wouldn't know it, but most financial advisors are put in a box. I'm Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I want to provide you a little insight about financial advisors. Most financial advisors have to sell what their company requires them to sell, and many advisors have to only adhere to what's called a suitability standard. A suitability standard is a limited standard of care, not requiring what's sold to be best just suitable. Advisors with this loose standard often have limited investment and product selection. Trajan Wealth is held to a fiduciary standard, which is the highest standard of care in the advisory business. And that's just one of the many reasons we have billions of dollars under our care and attract clients from other advisors. Raise your standards today and call Trajan Wealth. Call 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Here's Jason Jones.
Well, there is an accident southbound I-15 just as you are approaching the Pleasant Grove Boulevard exit down in Utah County. It's off to the right shoulder, not really affecting traffic, and we're not seeing any slowdowns in the area. Just keep an eye out, of course, as you travel through that spot there. Northbound I-15, though, rolling through the Salt Lake Valley, much better than it was before. In fact, we're not really seeing any delays left over from what we had earlier, and the rest of your commute is looking pretty fantastic at this point. Visit the boat show January 30th through February 2nd at Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy. This is your opportunity to shop, compare, and buy the boat of your dreams. Visit UtahBoatShow.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be sunny with highs in the upper 30s. It's already sunny right now. It's only 27 degrees in Salt Lake City. Hey, if you're going to go to Park City for Sundance, dress warm. It's only 11 degrees there. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave and I are looking over this piece of legislation that's been proposed on Utah's Capitol Hill. We'll do a couple of things. And we're going to speak to the lawmaker behind the proposal in just a moment. But one thing it would do is it would set up a program to give free meals, school lunch and breakfast to kids who are eligible. So I don't think it's all kids, but those who are eligible who pay for, a reduced lunch right now, reduced cost lunch and breakfast. What do you think of that just on its face?
I've shifted my thoughts on this.
Yeah.
Initially, when we were talking about lunches and kids, I thought, you know what, parents, this is the bare minimum, right? We have to feed our kids. This is an investment. So should we expect the Utah taxpayer to feed our kids? So that was where I was coming from initially. But I think I've changed over the years because we make such an investment. We require kids to be in school. We have them for 7 or 8 hours a day. Is it really too much to say, you know what, the extra $2.50, we can absorb that every single day? It's going to cost $400 or $500 per student per year to feed kids. Is that a worthy investment so that we're not trying to make sure that kids have the proper funds in their account, or the kids and families that are struggling, they have to jump through hoops to get fed? That's where I think I've changed. I'm like, listen, we invest enough, we can do the extra $500 a year.
Remember when you were in school and you were hungry? Lunch was
always.
Yeah.
Always.
You mean you leave the house at like 7 in the morning or 7:30, and then lunch is at some weird time like 12:45. You know what I mean? Like 5 hours later, the bowl of cereal and the side of eggs. This isn't holding. It's hard. I think it's really hard for kids to learn when they're hungry. And then this legislation would do something else as well. I want to bring Representative Tyler Clancy on the line. Good morning, Representative. Thanks for taking time away from your busy schedule today on the Hill.
Good morning. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, really grateful to have you on the show. And I spotted this, that it was coming on the docket for this session. I thought, good, let's talk about this and let's let our listeners in on what this means. The other thing that this would do, and I don't know, maybe you've obviously looked into this, maybe you can help paint a picture of this, is it would would prohibit schools from having kids do chores to make up for the meal that they can't afford. I didn't realize we were still doing that in schools. What do you know about that?
So most school districts, they've evolved and come a long way over the time. Really what we're trying to do is get to what is the challenges that prohibits a student who does qualify for these programs because their income threshold. We know that there's students who don't choose to participate. And why is that? We've heard, a range of stories and having a different colored lunch tray or wearing a sticker or the shame that's involved with that. We want to eliminate that. We want to get that out of the equation. If someone falls in, if they need help and we've allocated resources for that help, let's make sure they can get it. And so that's the piece of the shame and stigma.
There is a federal reimbursement, though, available for kids that qualify. And when parents don't take that step to qualify, fill out some pretty simple paperwork, that does fall on the local school districts to make up that cost, though, right?
Yes, and you're exactly right. So what happens now is when school lunch debt accrues, then parents are sent to collections. And I can tell you, after talking with, dozens of school administrators, that's the absolute last thing that they want to be doing. But nonetheless, it happens. I think it's important to frame the issue at hand. We have a program for free and reduced school lunch. It already exists. But if the program is accruing, somewhere in the range of $2 to $3 million of school lunch debt every year, that's just the tip of the iceberg. What's the underlying problem? And that's kids are going hungry in the class. That is, this targeted investment that we have is missing. There's a gap in the efficacy of the program. And that's really what I'm trying to address. Not create a new program or reinvent the wheel, rather just making sure that the program is getting to those families who need it the most.
So your legislation would make sure that kids aren't in any way shamed for not being able to afford a meal at school by getting a different color lunch tray or wearing a sticker or having to do chores or something like that. And additionally, would it provide that kids who do qualify for reduced lunch just get it for free?
That's exactly right. So we know that a large portion of the school lunch that's being accrued is families who are on the reduced price category. These are families who they don't qualify for, TANF or some of these other welfare programs. These are families that a couple years ago we probably would have considered middle class. But because of inflation and particularly at the grocery store, food insecurity is hitting families that we haven't seen before. And this is just another way that we can try to make sure that our $6 billion investment in public education is actually helping, and that we're recognizing that hungry students can't learn.
So how much money are we talking about? Would we need to set aside? As we're trying to close loopholes, I understand that, but ultimately someone's going to have to pay for these lunches.
So that's where the target is moving right now. We're trying to see what's feasible. We're looking anywhere in the range of $2 to $5 million is what we're looking for HB 100, and that's going to cover the increase for the reduced price category, as well as the summer EBT program, which is another innovative program where families who do qualify for SNAP, the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, that when school is out, they will be able to access, it's not much, but a modest supplement to go towards their grocery bill because school is not in session. So what they would have received in benefits at the school, making sure that the summer doesn't become a pain point for those families and they can continue their path into self-sufficiency.
Representative Tyler Clancy is joining us right now as we're talking about kids that are struggling and families that can't afford school lunch. One of the things that I would worry about, Representative Clancy, is we're asking so much of our schools, not just to educate our kids, but to feed them. Oftentimes not even just lunch, but breakfast and lunch, and snacks on the weekend, as well as mental health services, school nurses, and physical health services. Are we piling too much on the plate of our schools?
That's a fantastic question. I'd say this. I'm not creating the school lunch program. The school lunch program already exists. What I'm saying is the idea of the school lunch program is to provide the assistance to families who are in need, and we're recognizing that we're not quite hitting that mark. I agree with you. We're asking so much of teachers, but I'll tell you what's incredibly hard as being the son of a teacher is trying to teach children in class who have a empty belly, who are, frustrated and feeling the third and fourth order effects of hunger, which is, not just lapsed focus, but also frustration and all of those things that go along with hunger that we know just self-evidently as human beings. And so I actually think that this targeted investment will actually help teachers in the classroom be able to focus on teaching their subjects and not having to take on some of those other challenges.
So in the final 30 seconds we have, I just want to make sure I'm clear. What this would do, what your legislation would do, is it would make it so kids who qualify for reduced lunch would just get it for free without their parents having to fill out a bunch of paperwork.
That's right. So they're already on the program, just recognizing that the tremendous increase in the cost of food is hitting those families who are right on the cusp, kind of at the bottom of the middle class threshold there, are getting hit really hard, and making sure that we have a targeted investment to make sure that the $6 billion that we do invest in public education isn't all for naught.
Okay.
Representative Clancy, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for explaining that. We'll continue to follow that on the Hill. We're also going to take live calls from our listeners, 801-575-TALK. You just heard the elevator pitch for free school lunch from Representative Tyler Clancy. Yes or no? What do you think? 801-575-TALK. Your live calls next.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay. Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacin-capted Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Let me ask you a question. You have a best friend? How big would it shock you if somebody told you that your best friend just killed somebody?
911, what's your emergency? Someone on the other line said they kidnapped my son, and they're demanding $500,000.
On September 12th, 1995, 12-year-old McKay Everett disappeared from his home in Conroe, Texas. It was a crime that shocked the community because the suspect was so unlikely, so unexpected.
Former high-ranking police official, he'd run for sheriff at one point.
Law enforcement personnel were pretty much split down the middle over whether or not he actually did this.
And to this day, McKay's mother, Paulette, still feels that justice was never truly served.
I've asked myself so many times, what in the world happened?
Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Dave and Dujanovic.
We just got off the line with Representative Tyler Clancy. He's pitching a plan on Utah's Capitol Hill, just a proposal right now. But in a nutshell, what it would do is that kids who already qualify for reduced lunch at school through federal program and subsidies would actually just get their meals for free. That's what he wants to do. He wants to make sure kids have enough food in their stomachs to learn. He says we invest $6 billion in public education in this state. What's a few million more to cover the cost of free lunch?
The idea of the school lunch program is to provide the assistance to families who are in need, and we're recognizing that we're not quite hitting that mark. I agree with you. We're asking so much of teachers, but I'll tell you what's incredibly hard as being the son of a teacher is trying to teach children in class who have a empty belly, who are, frustrated and feeling the third and fourth order effects of hunger, which is...
You can't learn if you're hungry. We've all been there, right? When you're hangry and you're starving and you just can't concentrate until you get something in your belly. Well, when you're at school, you've got 7 hours, and we give the kids one break to eat something. And we typically tie it on, especially with elementary school, we tie it right next to recess, and kids will rush in, throw away half their food because they're so excited to get out to recess. So we're really not feeding these kids. But this is extremely important and expensive. Let me throw out some numbers to you, Deb. I wonder if you're as shocked as I am. Utah received $322 million from the federal government for school lunch. We tack on an extra $50 million here. We're almost at $400 million that we invest in the school lunch program. Mm-hmm. This is a massive investment.
I think our old school way of thinking about this it needs to go away. I think if you spend any amount of time in schools with kids, if you volunteer, if you teach, if you're the room mom, you're the room dad, if you, do like I did, you're teaching art and you're volunteering to do junior achievement. And thank you very much. My son's, I think it was second, third grade. No, maybe it was fourth grade, fifth grade. PE teacher. Yeah, you're welcome. You realize as you look around that you don't want any of these kids to be hungry. And if you recall back to your elementary school days or whatever, junior high days, where you had to rely on being excused to the cafeteria to go ahead and feed your face, but you were starving. It was just too much time anyway, in between the time the parents drop off or the bus drops off their child and they eat. And I think we're beyond that now. I think we're recognizing that kids need to eat. And as you've said many times, Dave, schools have our kids for 7-8 hours or even longer if they're taking the bus to school or they have an after-school activity. They got to eat. 801-575-TALK. We're taking your live calls. Hi, Pete.
How you doing?
You think that kids deserve to have a free meal at school?
Yes, I worked the school lunch program back in the 60s and 70s. I really enjoyed the relationship with the cooks in the kitchen and stuff like that. And I felt a sense of responsibility and accomplishment because I earned my lunch every day. It wasn't free. But, yes, kids definitely need a free lunch because the economy now, I mean, my son, my granddaughter, she relies on school lunch for something to eat every day because otherwise that's all she gets to eat. Her mom died and her dad's too busy earning a living to feed her.
It's a struggle, and I think one of the things we're trying to avoid, because I see value with kids working in the cafeteria. I actually look forward to it. We would do kind of rotations, and I enjoyed working in the cafeteria. It was a nice way to break up the monotony of school sometimes. But what I don't want to see is some sort of a stigma, for kids, that they come in, mom and dad forgot to put money in their account, or it's exhausted, they don't have enough to afford, so you put a sticker, or you give them a different tray, or maybe you just give them a peanut butter sandwich when everyone else is having chicken sandwiches. I think it's hard enough to be a kid, and anytime you are separated out or people see you or look at you differently, they notice these differences, and that is the worst. So I like this idea of saying, listen, every kid's going to get fed. No one's going to know who's on free or reduced lunch. We're just going to feed the kids straight up.
Yeah, no more stickers, no more different colored trays. The kids should blend in as much as possible with everybody else. There's no sense in assigning a stigma to a child. I mean, I'm glad. We don't know how often that still happens in Utah, but that's one of the things that Representative Clancy's legislation will address as well. Hi, Erin.
Hi. I was just wanting to bring up, I'm for it, but I feel like there needs to be some changes because my kids are constantly coming home saying that they're being forced to take food that they don't like and won't eat, and so it's all going to the trash.
What kind of food do they not like? What do you mean? Is it not pizza day?
Well, actually, that's whole grain pizza, so they're not a fan of that. But that's the point. But one of the things was, like in tacos, they put beans on it. They have to have beans, or they're not allowed to take it. And so instead of just meat, they have to have beans as well. And they don't like beans, and so then they just throw the whole thing away and just eat the sides. So I think that you're seeing a large amount of waste. They also have to take a certain amount of sides, which they'll complain about. There's raw, like pears that are raw, they're not ripe, but they have to take them, and so then they get thrown away.
That is absolutely the experience my kids have seen as well.
What you're saying, Aaron, is you got to make the food edible. Okay. All right. No pears that are not ripe. Yeah.
I'm looking at the World Wildlife Fund. They estimate that school waste is about 40 pounds of food per student in waste. And if you've ever been in a school cafeteria, and I have, my wife's worked in those recently, she said, Dave, they are throwing away entire trays of food that has been untouched.
So there's got to be a way to figure out what kids like, what they will eat, and what they will enjoy when they're eating.
Number one most popular food in America, Lunchables. And some schools are offering Lunchables, but then we're like, are we seriously giving our kids Lunchables? So they tried to make a school-friendly, healthier Lunchable, which tastes different than what they're used to, and kids don't like different.
Todd, it sounds like you have a zero tolerance for this conversation. You with us? Zero, yeah. I can tell from the note our producer sent us, yeah.
And slightly under zero. So I'll make it quick because it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but these are probably the same families that are receiving some type of benefit, some type of help financially with food on their table at home already, and then they rely upon free food for their children at school. I'm going to be blunt. they need to, on Saturday morning, they need to get up, go get the cheap bologna and the cheap white bread at the grocery store and maybe an apple and split it in half for a couple of kids. It's because they're too lazy to get up in the morning early.
Yeah, it is tough. It's tough to balance, right? I mean, there is affordable food out there, but what this lawmaker says is, you know, when you're separating kids out and kind of excluding them and making them bring their food, that is just one of those ways that kind of says, hey, your home lunch, you can't eat it at school. It's a delicate balance. I've gone both ways, Todd. I know where you're coming from, and I agree on some levels, but at the same time, we're talking 7-8 hours a day with our kids. We probably just need to feed them as well while they're at school.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
If you've ever experienced running out of hot water before your shower was done, or hard water spots on dishes and fixtures, I've got a deal you might be interested in. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and you probably already know that a tankless water heater and a water softener solve both issues. If you've ever thought about looking into getting a tankless water heater, here's the deal I was talking about. Through the end of February, we're including a free water softener with every new tankless water heater we install. The best part of this deal might be that you never have to worry about being the last one to the shower again, or that you don't have to waste the money keeping 40 to 50 gallons of water hot 24/7. To take advantage of this deal, call Any Hour Services before the end of February. The visit's free and there's no obligation to buy. If you decide to have us install a new tankless water heater, we'll throw in the water softener for free. That's right, a free water softener when you purchase a tankless water heater. Pick up the phone and call Any Hour Services right now for all the details. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
It's complicated. These days, that's how people even describe their relationship status. When it comes to the latest complexities in your car, it's gotten really complicated. The experts at AMCO undergo the most rigorous training to stay on top of the latest car technologies, so there's nothing we can't fix. Well, except for that complicated relationship. When it comes to that, you're on your own. AA, MCO. Check engine light on? We'll check it for free.
Enroll in Farm Bureau Financial Services Driveology, and you'll instantly save 10% on your auto insurance premium. Over time, your safe driving habits could earn you even bigger savings, up to 50%. Learn more and start saving with Driveology at fbfs.com/save. 10% savings applied at enrollment for select coverages. Future savings based on individual driving behaviors and varies by coverages selected. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
My name is Tom.
My name is Cindy.
We give to and volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
We know our time and money are going to the right places.
We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Jeff Kaplan. When you're online, that's sometimes a source of fourth-hand information. Somebody does the reporting. Another website Googles, they find it, they rewrite it, and by the time you read it, you know the old game telephone. But KSL is a source of prime
primary information. We have reporters on the street. They're out in the field finding out the details. And the difference between online and KSL News Radio, night and day.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. A Utah County man known for his alpha male teachings has pleaded guilty to defrauding more than 500 investors out of $20 million. The Salt Lake Tribune reports Jeremiah Joseph Evans admitted to felony counts of money laundering and securities fraud. Court documents say Evans lied to investors about their money and used the money for personal items, including a down payment on a Lamborghini. Our top national story for this hour from ABC News, the future of TikTok still unclear. President Trump says there are several potential buyers and that a decision will be made within 90 days.
The president dismissing reports that software company Oracle is in talks to buy TikTok. Two sources close to TikTok, the TikTok side of the negotiation, tell ABC News that there is a path forward to a deal that allows the app to stay in business consistent with the law.
ABC's Alex Perchet reporting. Israel has started allowing Palestinians to return to the heavily destroyed areas north of the Gaza Strip for the first time since the start of the war with Hamas. The move was originally delayed when Israel said Hamas had changed the order of the hostages it was going to release in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Your money at this moment, the Dow was up 9 for a minute. Now it's back to about even, 44,422. Coming up, we've had front-runner delays this morning, especially going south. We'll check traffic and weather together coming up next. KSL News Time 10:01.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Utah State Fair Park. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Utah State Fair Park. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Utah State Fair Park. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Utah State Fair Park. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Utah State Fair Park. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Utah State Fair Park. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission. Free delivery. Utah State Fair Park. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Milo's Rewards Week is coming, and it's kind of a big deal. Members, get ready for 7 days of up to 40% off store-wide on hundreds of items. Save on the top brands in bath, tools, paint, and more. Our biggest member deals are on January 30th through February 5th. So if you're not a loyalty member, now's the time to join for free. Lowe's knows home improvement. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted it close to town, with a picture window overlooking a yard. And you found it. Now, when you sit down to dinner, you've got front row seats too. Your neighbor's daily pickleball game. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Here's Jason Jones.
Well, the accident we had southbound I-15 in American Fork has been cleared, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. It never really caused too much delay, but now you don't have to worry about it at all. And the rest of I-15 is looking pretty fantastic from Payson all the way up to Ogden. You're going to be running at good speeds both north and southbound on I-15. No other trouble on any of the highways or side streets, but speaking of those front-runner delays that we have, 20-minute delays southbound from Vineyard to the end of the line in Provo, and also similar delays northbound from North Temple to Clearfield, so that's just kind of a heads up there for those of you who are taking front-runner. Murdoch Auto Team is celebrating 100 years of winter journeys at Murdoch Hyundai. Right now, receive 1.99% for 4 years or 2.49% for 5 years on the 2025 Santa Fe or Tucson. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny for the next 4 days with a high today of only 37. Looks like we won't see any chance for a storm until Saturday again. Right now it's sunny and 28 degrees. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Let's talk about the Green Loop in Salt Lake City. You're like, what is that? That's what I said when Dave brought this up this morning in our pre-show meeting. He's like, I want to talk about the Green Loop that's being pitched by City Hall in Salt Lake City. And we're going to get somebody on the line from Salt Lake City. He's a senior advisor on the capital projects here in the city to walk us through what it means. But it sounds like, Dave, the Reader's Digest version of it is that there will be more green space on the west side of Salt Lake City from about 5th West to 2nd East, North Temple to 9th South. And from there, I don't know a whole lot more about it, but I can't wait to learn about it.
And if we're really trying to boil it down, we're trying to, or this proposal would make it more pedestrian and bicycle friendly.
Okay.
So that's a very big overarching desire. We're going to make it more pedestrian and bicycle friendly. There's going to be some big, beautiful trees. Every block is going to have a bunch of big, beautiful trees. And here is the downside, and this is the one that's going to be very, very hard to get over. 2 lanes of traffic for a vehicle. 2 lanes, that's it.
Going one way or?
Yeah, I'm sure it's each way, right?
Each way. Oh,
like
okay.
One lane going one way.
I wondered if maybe they were turning into one-way streets or something like that.
I don't know, mate. Perhaps they could. I think this is just 2 lanes per.
So the Green Loop would run quite a ways. Right? If it's once it's complete, it would run quite a ways because you got 9th South to North Temple-ish, and then 5th West over to 2nd East. Am I reading that map right in the Deseret News? Yeah. And then additionally, when you think about what they're doing over here at the Delta Center off 3rd West, that sounds like as they, build, make it more pedestrian-friendly and more walkable, that sounds like that would be closed to traffic as well. So the city leaning in favor of, this area becoming more walkable, more open. But there's a lot of things already there, right? This is always great when you are having a vision for a city that hasn't been built yet. Like I think about what they did in Daybreak. A lot of, if you haven't been out there, South Jordan, right about 106 South and, 40th, 50th West in there, where there's a lot of green space that was built into the plan as they were building the community. And then there's the lake out there. But trying to go in retroactively and do it becomes tricky because there's already concrete.
Yeah. Yeah, and a renovation is difficult. And this could cost upwards of $350 million. And as I'm reading in the Deseret News, it was interesting to hear from Salt Lake City Council Chairwoman Victoria Petro. She said, my greatest fear is that we start a lot of beautiful things, and then over the next decade, we end up with a bunch of half-completed projects, right? I mean, we have great intentions, but do we have enough focus and commitment to hundreds of millions of dollars worth of projects that once this starts, that we finish it?
I want to get more information on this. Let's bring Blake Thomas on the line. He's a senior advisor on real estate and capital projects with Salt Lake City. Good morning, Blake.
Hi, good morning. Happy Monday, and thank you for having me. I'm grateful to be talking with you, as my poor wife is the only one I have to talk about Green Loop with over the weekend.
So it's called
thanks
Green.
for affording this opportunity.
Well, your wife is welcome. Okay, so Green Loop. If I'm reading this right, we're looking at the Deseret News article on it. They had a map, a rendering of it. Am I getting that right? From 5th West over to 2nd East, 9th South up to North Temple would be considered the Green Loop route?
That is correct. That is the proposed routing of the Green Loop.
So when we're talking about simplifying it, making it pedestrian-friendly, bicycle-friendly, adding a bunch of beautiful trees along the way, would it just be on the perimeter of this that we're talking about, or is this everything inside of these blocks?
So this would be in the public right-of-way, the entire project, and kind of a simplified way of explaining the right-of-way are sidewalks and roads, land that the city already owns that's for the public use and transportation. So I think that that's part of the genius in the Green Loop is the city using land that it owns. About 4 years ago, the Public Lands Department had a study that said that downtown is the area of the city that's most in need of green space. And when we look at the Green Loop, which proposes more than 50, technically 54 acres of green public space in the downtown, a back of the napkin, if you look at real estate prices, it would cost the city more than $390 million to acquire 54 acres of land downtown to be dedicated for green space. And that's just acquiring it. It's not even what if there was a building on that land that we had to spend millions of dollars demolishing or other type of site work. So by using the land that we own, as you mentioned earlier, the project is estimated to cost $250 to $350 million to build it, but that includes all of the construction material and labor, the landscaping, the bike paths, the utilities, all of those amenities. So I think that that's a really fascinating figure to look at, that it would be $390 million in the open market just to acquire the land versus $250 to $350 building it on land that we own.
Would the city need to displace any business owners? I know you talked about it being on public space, but would they need to or would business owners and any homeowners or tenants in that area kind of find it difficult to get around while this construction was going on?
That's a great question. And no, there's no intention of displacing any businesses or residents. Again, because the project itself would all be wholly contained within a portion of the public right-of-way, our intention and our hope is that this will actually enhance our local businesses by having this asset in which people by foot and by bike and various amenities and active programming in the downtown, similar to what you saw with the business sales on Main Street with the open streets concept that has happened during the summer months the last few years. Those businesses had their sales increase during those times, and we hope a similar effect would happen there. The other thing I'd say about the residents is we know that the downtown skyline is changing, and there's a variety of multifamily residential towers that have just recently come online or been open for occupancy for individuals and families to move in. And as individuals and families are now calling the downtown their home and that number keeps growing, we as a city want to provide a front or backyard for those residents to be able to recreate. And have the respite of urban canopy. One of my favorite stats about the Green Loop is with the proposed kind of dense urban forest we hope to line our sidewalks and streets with. On a hot summer day, that can provide up to 15 degrees of a cooler temperature than being outside of the shade of a canopy. So I personally feel a big difference from 75 to 90 degrees. I'm sure you do as well, but I think that that's another one of the great benefits for this project for businesses and residents.
Dave and I speaking live right now to Blake Thomas. He's a senior advisor on real estate and capital projects with the city of Salt Lake. The reason we asked him to call the show today is because we're talking about this Green Loop proposal that would run from about 5th West to 2nd East, 9th South to North Temple-ish. And it would enhance green space and make this area more walkable.
And when you're making things more walkable, when you make it more bike friendly, I can't help but see this making it more difficult to drive these areas.
Yeah, so we actually, you might recall in 2023, we did a pop-up demonstration. That was on 200 East, and it was from 3rd to 4th South, where we used trees and planters and had shipping containers with the public library with a pop-up, as well as live music and beer garden. And we were able to gather a lot of great data from that pop-up demonstration that lasted through the summer. And in short, it worked well from a traffic flow perspective, and it achieved the results that we wanted in terms of reducing vehicle speeds to keep pedestrians and bikers safe. And the traffic volumes that we have intentionally on each of these segments is low enough for a lane reconfiguration to a single lane in each direction without causing backup. So the city has hired out a third party that did a traffic study, as well as in-house transportation engineers. They've carefully studied this routing. I definitely want you to know I hear and feel that anxiety about it being an inconvenience for drivers. And essentially, what we found is that this routing, we have the bandwidth and there's the traffic volume in which it allows for a reduction in lane configuration without slowing traffic.
Blake, before we let you go, I just wonder, this just has hints to me as I listen to this this pitch, that the city is concerned that there aren't enough families, and we've seen this even with the Salt Lake City School District, enough kids to sort of support city life in the future. Is the city worried about that?
Well, it's definitely a top priority of the mayor, which is making sure that Salt Lake City is home to families, and especially in the downtown. And so when you look at the city and its investment in affordable housing, one of the requirements that the city has been putting on recent projects in which we help participate as a financial partner is ensuring that our projects that we support have more than just the studio apartments, that there's 2, 3, and even 4-bedroom apartments in the downtown, knowing that families need a space larger than a studio. And so we're using our incentives and using our land use authority to try to encourage the private development community to build that as much as possible.
Blake Thomas, thank you for joining us from Salt Lake City. He's the senior advisor on real estate and capital projects. Thanks, Blake.
I'm intrigued. How about you?
It's tough anytime I'm looking at downtown and I'm thinking, okay, driving's going to be a little bit more difficult, possibly. He's not totally convinced. Blake's not totally convinced that's going to be the case. But here's one of the downsides that I find personally with walkable and bikeable downtown. 5-6 months out of the year, I have no interest in walking around and biking around because our weather is so extreme. I'm not going out when it's 15 degrees outside.
So it's kind of like owning a pool in your backyard. If you live in Utah, why would you?
Yeah.
You just go to the rec center where the pool is covered and heated during the winter months. Okay,
and in the summer months when it's 100 degrees outside or 105, you think I'm looking at a nice jaunt, across the downtown? No, it's going to be. It's just. We have such extremes in this state asking people to bike routinely, to walk routinely, it's just, that's a real downside for me.
So this works in southern Utah, in St. George for you, maybe, for example.
Yeah.
But not along the Wasatch Front.
Well, we see this in your hometown, right? I mean, when in Phoenix, well, sure, if you're walking around in the evening downtown when the weather is nice and it's clear, even when it's really hot in the daytime, well, there's some times when it is pleasant. But we have some extremes. There are no pleasant temperatures right now. There's no pleasant temperatures
11
right
degrees and it's not rocking it for you? It's actually 26 now.
Okay, a whopping 26.
Okay. Well, look, I feel like Salt Lake City's kind of fallen behind on this kind of development. So hats off to City Hall for trying to figure out a way to bring families into the downtown area and keep us here because I don't look to downtown the way I used to. As like, I'm going to go downtown and do something fun. I'll find something fun to do. It has to be an event. It has to be a pretty big event and a somewhat affordable event to draw me downtown. So I think some of the coolness of Salt Lake City is worn off, and I think what they're trying to achieve with this is to bring younger people back downtown. And this is going to go hand in glove, in my view, with what they're doing with the Delta Center and the 2 blocks east. And I know they're spending a lot of money on this, and taxpayers are going to be paying a little bit more when it comes to sales tax for some items. But I look at this and think, you got to do something because the draw for downtown just isn't there anymore, at least not for me. And this may or may not be the answer. I don't know. But would I park a car and walk as opposed to try to drive on a two? Yeah, I don't think I mind that so much. And the idea that they're going to they call it a green loop, but really what it sounds like to me is like a more fun zone. A place people can. I've always advocated for more outdoor dining when the weather's good. And even when the weather's not so great, there's new ways of doing things. Like, it's not like we're in the 1970s anymore. We're in, 2025. They've got new ways of heating outdoors and doing more of a greenhouse kind of a place outside where you can eat in. So I like it. I don't know if it's going to be the entire green loop. That seems like a huge area. But let's get the party started.
Well, and it's a massive investment. If we're looking at $250 to $350 million, this is a significant investment, and it will take years for this to take place. If you're going to go in and they've pitched 50 what they call canopy trees per block, that is a massive investment in not just planting them, but getting water to them. And so are we going to be able to start this and see it all the way through? And are you ready to make that investment?
He said when we talked to Blake Thomas with the city, he said that'll bring down the temperatures, though.
We know that the downtown skyline is changing, and there's a variety of multifamily residential towers that have just recently come online or been open for occupancy for individuals and families to move in. And as individuals and families are now calling the downtown their home, and that number keeps growing, we as a city want to provide a front or backyard for those residents to be able to recreate and have the respite of our urban canopy. One of my favorite stats about the Green Loop is with the proposed kind of dense urban forest we hope to line our sidewalks and streets with. On a hot summer day, that can provide up to 15 degrees of a cooler temperature than.
But is downtown Salt Lake really where you're going to have a front yard or a backyard? To make that a priority downtown when real estate is at a premium, it's a lot to ask.
But you got to compete, right? You got to compete with these outlying cities. We just talked about, how much more affordable housing is in some outlying cities, like in Tremont, you can buy a house for under $400,000. And in Price, if you want to live that far away, it's under $300,000, which is about an hour and a half outside of Salt Lake City. And, you can move to Tooele County, and it's a lot. I think Salt Lake City, as I mentioned with Blake, I think they've got to look for ways to compete, to keep families and get families in the downtown area. And I don't think you can just, as a city, throw up your hands and be like, oh, well. Salt Lake City is an important contributor to our economy, And I think this is a way for them to, beef up the idea of either living downtown or coming downtown.
But can you imagine how much an apartment or a condo would cost downtown? He talked about having a 4-bedroom townhome that you could live in here downtown. I mean, that would be so expensive, obviously, because it's downtown, right? It's prime. I would absolutely buy that house. That would be amazing. That townhome, I would. But that's why people live in the suburbs, because it's the only place you can afford to build something that big.
Straight ahead, an airline is taking a hard line on passenger attire. Find out next what clothing items might get you kicked off of a flight. Straight ahead.
Join the smartest conversation in Utah, the team of analysts and political advisors that make up Inside Sources. Get unfiltered analysis of the new administration, the president's cabinet, and Utah's upcoming legislative session. Inside Sources, weekdays from 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
Attention home buyers, want to save hundreds on your mortgage payment or buy a bigger, nicer home? Visit SaveRight.com. This is Rod with the SaveRight team at Realty Path. SaveRight, our name says it all. SaveRight real estate clients often save $300 to $600 a month on their mortgage. Life of loan savings can be over $300,000. SaveRight clients qualify for and buy bigger, nicer homes. Interest rates are around 7%. SaveRight clients can get fixed rates in the 5s. Our affiliate lender makes it all possible. You can even start with a rate in the 2s. If you're buying or selling a home in Utah, save a ton of money. Hire the SaveRight team of realtors. Visit SaveRight.com for more information.
Paid for by government. Now is the time to fill your vault with Morgan Silver Bars. Grab your piece of America's silver legacy with this special offer. These spectacular shining silver bars featuring a crisp image of the iconic Morgan Silver Dollar, a legendary coin that has captivated collectors for generations. Call now to secure 1-ounce silver bars minted in 99.9% pure silver and made in the USA. Don't miss out on this special deal, regularly priced at $49.95, but for a limited time, only $39.95. Save $10 per silver bar. Limit of 25 bars per customer. The more you buy, the more you save. Up to $250 in savings and free shipping on every order. Plus, with qualifying orders, you'll receive a free Morgan Silver Dollar. That's a $59.95 value, free. Call 1-800-937-4707 now to secure your 1-ounce Morgan Silver Bars for only $39.95. That's 1-800-937-4707.
You're pre-approved for urgent surgery, then denied. I'll show you how even dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's is still leaving Utahns with massive bills.
I was told it was going to be covered.
Get Gephardt. Procedure with caution. Tonight at 10. Feeling frustrated? Ignored? Deceived? It's time to get Gephardt. Get Gephardt. Weeknights at 10 on KSL.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night, too. Did you have a clue?
No, but you know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
This Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then, browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes a new inventory every day. Then they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. You're invited to visit the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
All in together now, we can make it better. Can we do it? We won't it up.
Because we know how to jump. Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
An airliner heads for Alaska with 101 passengers and crew. Then, somewhere over the Gulf of Alaska, Flight 293 slams into the icy water below.
Even if all 4 engines quit, it just doesn't fall out of the sky.
No bodies were recovered. Loved ones had no closure and were left to wonder.
What happened to Flight 293?
Unsolved Histories: What Happened to Flight 293 is available now. Follow us at unsolvedhistoriespod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
10:30, KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top local story this hour: dozens of Utah firefighters are back home after spending the past 17 days helping fight the fires in Southern California. The Utah crews spent their time protecting houses, monitoring hot spots, and assisting people with cleanup.
I've never seen anything like it in all my career. It was heartbreaking. A lot of them we would see, that was the first time they'd seen their home burned to the ground.
That's Sandy Fire Captain Mike Goff. He says the experience will help them be more prepared if we experience a similar disaster here in Utah. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: another big study says what we all already know: exercise is the key to a healthy life.
Just 2.5 hours a week of moderate activity, something as simple as walking the dog, can have a major impact on overall health. With about 17% of Americans now over 65 years old, the authors of the study are urging physicians to prescribe exercise to their patients to avoid having to prescribe medications.
ABC's Jim Ryan says this latest study is in the Canadian Medical Association Journal. Well, the Super Bowl's set. The Eagles will face the Kansas City Chiefs in New Orleans. Here's a fan in Philly excited after the Eagles beat the Commanders.
I will be seeing you Super Bowl 59, brother. I'll tell you that. Eat your vitamins and say your prayer.
The Super Bowl takes place in 2 weeks on Sunday, February 9th. You can read more about the locals who played in yesterday's playoff games at KSLSports.com. Your money at this moment: the Dow's rebounded up 116 points, which is 0.25% to 44,540. Coming up, sunny for days. No snow till maybe the weekend. KSL weather coming up next. KSL News Time 10:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
You've known Master Electrical Service for a very long time. You know Mountain Air. Well, these two great companies have joined forces and they've come together to create Mountain Home Services.
Which is awesome because that means you can get your electrical needs taken care of. Maybe you need outlets replaced or recessed lighting. Or you need your HVAC, your heating and air updated, and your plumbing. That's what this one-stop shopping has done now with these two forces that have combined.
And one of the things I think many of us have been bitten by in the past is the bid bug, where they come in, they give you this incredible bid. You're like, oh, this is an incredible deal. Go ahead, let's do it. And then when you actually get the invoice, it's far more expensive. Not with Mountain Home Services. They have an upfront pricing guarantee. So the bid they give you, they're going to honor that.
That means no hidden fees and 100% satisfaction guarantee. There's a couple of ways you can get a hold of them. Dave's got you've got the website. Yeah.
MountainHomeservices.com, just like it sounds. MountainHomeservices.com.
Or you can give them a call. They'd love to hear from you. 801-543-2222. Again, that phone number, 801-543-2222.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Here's Jason Jones.
And your midday commute's looking pretty fantastic at this point. No delays or accidents north or southbound on I-15 between Payson and Ogden. You're just going to be running at regular speeds through that entire stretch. No problems on 215, the 201, I-80 up into the canyons. All the canyons are looking clear at this point. We do have an update on that front runner delays that we've had this morning. It says now that all delays have been cleared out, so just shouldn't have any more trouble now if you're going to be riding the front runner. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
We should see a high today of 37 degrees, then 39 tomorrow, and lots of sunshine. Looks like the next chance for a storm won't arrive until Saturday. Right now it is sunny and 28 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Dave, I'm going to give you a list of clothing items that could get you removed from Spirit Airlines because
Taking notes?
they've come out with a dress code, like updated their dress code, and it's got a pretty good number of clothing items that you aren't allowed to wear on their aircraft.
Okay, before you start, I want to know, what's your go-to airport outfit?
Okay, I'm a little crazy when it comes to getting dressed for my flight because remember, I like to only pack a backpack full. So one backpack has to fit everything.
Okay.
So what I will wear is usually a pair of shorts, and over a pair of shorts is a pair of like yoga pants or stretch pants that I can wear when I'm on my trip. And those are both like black because black goes with everything. And then on top of that is a pair of jeans.
No, you do not. You wear 3 layers?
And then it's kind of like same thing with the top. You know, you got to wear especially in the warmer months, you got to wear a tank top, and then I'll wear a shirt over that, like a T-shirt, and then on top of that, I'll wear some sort of a sweatshirt, and then I'll tie something around my waist.
Are you serious? Okay. Well, I
don't get dress coded. Let's just put it that way.
No, you've got all the layers.
Completely covered. Yeah.
They're like, take off your jacket, and you're like, which one? Which jacket am I taking off? Okay, so I go ultimate comfort. So either pajama pants, sweats. No, this is not a style thing. This is straight. I've done pajama pants. I've done sweats. I'll do a hoodie, and then Crocs. Crocs are the key. That's what you want. They're breathable. They're soft, and that's my go-to. So does any of that violate the new Spirit Airlines appearance guidelines?
You have the Crocs. You have the Crocs on, and
the Crocs are on.
Well,
yeah.
I just feel like the pajama pants alone, even though that's not on the list,
it should be.
It should be. Like, I would be like, can I move? I'm next to this guy.
I'm sitting next to pajama pant guy.
Can I move? I would rather sit in an exit aisle. I'd rather sit in all the exit aisles. So, according to the articles I read, this one's from CNN, passengers on Spirit may be denied boarding or removed from the aircraft for being barefoot. So you're okay with the Crocs.
Okay.
Got to have something on the feet.
Open-toed sandals, all that's fine,
sounds
right?
like it.
Okay.
Yeah,
you just can't roll in straight up barefoot.
You don't have enough clothing on.
Definitely not your problem.
Yeah, not my problem.
You're like
Plenty.
3 layers.
If you wear see-through clothing, that could get you sent packing before the flight takes off.
Yeah.
Or if private
no more
parts,
fishnet tops. Okay.
Private parts are exposed. Here's another one.
Seems reasonable.
Having lewd, obscene, or offensive body art. Would that
Okay.
be like a tattoo, right?
Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit tricky. If you have lewd, obscene, or offensive body art, because who's going to make that determination? What is lewd? What is obscene? What is offensive? Right? You remember that 11-year-old girl down in where
Yuma.
was it? It was in Yuma, Arizona, where she went down and her parents were like, "Yep, she wants to get a neck tattoo." She wanted a neck tattoo of Donald Trump, like a portrait of Donald Trump. And fortunately, the tattoo artist, said, talked her into an American flag on her shoulder instead. But, some people would see that as offensive, having a Trump portrait tattoo on the net. So would that allow you to be removed from the aircraft?
Well, to me, obscene would be, a bad word, like or something that is offensive to like people, like maybe people of color, where somebody's tattooed something on their forehead. that offends other people on the plane. It would offend me. It would offend me. Greg Skordas, our legal analyst, I thought it'd be good to have you on the air because I wonder if, what this looks like if somebody says, I'm not going to get off the plane because I don't think this tattoo is offensive, but you might, but I'm a passenger and the passenger's always right.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say the customer's always right, but restaurants have no shoes, no shirt, no service guidelines, and they can exclude guests, even if they have to call in law enforcement. And I suppose the same would be true for Spirit Airlines, Debbie, that they might be able to call in the agents there and say, look, this person doesn't meet our guidelines. We want him removed from the plane, or more appropriately, they probably just wouldn't let them board in the first place. But Dave makes a good point, and that is that it's subjective. It's sort of in the eyes of the beholder. I mean, who is to decide what is offensive and what is lewd and what is obscene? I think we sort of think we know it when we see it, but I think that the airline has a little bit of leeway. It's a private entity. It's not the government, and they can pick and choose how they want to have their customers look and appear, because customers have a choice. They can go to Delta or United or any of another airline. So it's not like they have no choice.
Greg, is there any problem with this being enforced differently by various gate agents or attendants or pilots? Because it seems pretty straightforward, having exposed breasts, buttocks, or other private parts, but perhaps it's not like fully exposed, but just provocatively exposed. Everybody might have their own little interpretation. Is there a problem if one person enforces it very strictly and another one is very loose in their interpretation?
That actually is the problem, Dave. That's where you run into a problem. I mean, the person could get through ticketing, get through baggage claim, get through whatever else, and then they sit down on the aircraft, and then a pilot or stewardess jumps up and says, hey, you can't be on this plane. So I think as long as the airline has pretty defined guidelines and they're posted somewhere, either on your ticket or when you purchase the ticket online, so that that confusion isn't there, makes a big difference. But yeah, the subjectiveness of it is what's always going to get the company in trouble.
And it would probably be in their terms and conditions when you purchase a ticket. Like we a lot of tickets have terms and conditions, so a lot of us fail to read those. But if it's in there, then the airline has covered itself, right, so to speak. No pun intended.
Yes, you're exactly right. Yes. And if they say, hey, you can come in with your hoodie and pajama pants and Crocs, Dave, you made your fellow passengers a little uncomfortable, but you're probably going to get on the flight.
But I can get on my flight. Greg, thank you so much. Greg Skordas, our KSL legal analyst.
So I wonder what people think about this, and just even dress codes in general. But CBS Miami asked Spirit Airline passengers how they felt about the change. So let's listen to how the passengers are feeling.
There's just too many rules. People just trying to get to where they need to get to. I feel like you shouldn't put no rules on how people should wear their clothes flying to the next destination.
That's bad, because you should wear whatever you want. Even if you're not okay with that, you don't have a say in what people wear.
They're the owners. I mean, they can do whatever they want, I mean, I'm a business owner as well, and I have certain rules as well in my business establishment, so they can do whatever they want.
Just hearing that made me want to stay away from Spirit.
Well, and that's your choice, right? If you don't like what Spirit is doing, then you move to someone else. It's not the only game in town. It's not a monopoly. You can just say, you know what, I want people to be able to expose all they want and have tattoos, as offensive as they may be. And that's your choice. So according to Greg Skordas, our KSL legal analyst, this is totally legal.
801-575-TALK. What do you think of that dress code? Is this good? Is it bad? Do you like it? Do you not like it? 801-575-TALK. Let's take your live calls next.
Are you in search of a fulfilling career where you can work on a team that provides you room to grow, learn, and thrive every day? Focus Engineering and Surveying is looking for individuals to join their team who take pride in the customer service they provide and have a passion for their clients to be successful. No experience in engineering, CAD design, or surveying? No problem. Focus will train those who fit their team culture for rewarding careers in surveying and CAD design. If you can align with the core ideology and the Focus team culture, if you're internally driven, team-oriented, client-focused, and love personal development and growth, Focus Engineering and Surveying is the place for you. Enjoy a positive work environment and paid internship opportunities, plus fantastic benefits like great health care with 80% employer-paid premium and HSA matched up to $200 per month, 401k, vacation, even annual performance bonuses. Start your journey towards your new and fulfilling career. Apply now at FocusUtah.com. That's FocusUtah.com.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
David Dujanovic.
Spirit Airlines has a updated dress code. We're just talking about it here on the show. What do you think of it? 801-575-TALK. It says passengers might be denied or may be denied boarding or taken off the flight if you're barefoot, you're not wearing enough clothing, you have a lewd, obscene, or offensive tattoo, you're wearing a see-through outfit. My goodness. Or you've exposed your private parts.
Those seem reasonable, right? I mean, it seems reasonable. But I don't know if this is a new phenomenon or if this has been happening all along. But people getting thrown off planes, it pops up in my feed every 5 minutes of somebody melting down on a plane. And it's in part because they are offended with what somebody is wearing or what they say. Here's one from, this is Alaska Airlines, but I'll never forget this one. A lady was berating the person sitting next to her because he was wearing a red MAGA hat.
You pretend you have the moral high ground, but you put that man's finger on the meat of your butt. That man doesn't believe in climate change. Do you believe in gravity? Did you know gravity is just...
Now she got kicked off, and as she was walking out, everyone starts clapping because they were just through with her. And we see this happen all the time. And I think Spirit Airlines is looking at these kind of interactions. The fact that everybody records them, there's 12 different angles from them, and that it's bad press for everybody. It's awkward for the person that's trying to kick them off the plane, and it's a bad experience.
Hi, Eddie. Do you fly?
Hi.
Do you fly Spirit?
No, I do not fly Spirit, but I just got off of a Southwest flight last night, and before we got off the plane, the flight attendant was making an announcement, and I specifically remember this. She said, "You have many choices to fly. We appreciate you using Southwest Airlines." Mm-hmm. It's one of those things. If you don't like the rules of any merchant, you have choices. Make another choice.
Yeah.
Quit your bitching.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, and thanks, Eddie. And we're lucky that we do, right? I mean, if we decide that we prefer United over Delta or Frontier over Spirit, I mean, how awesome is that we can make a change? But I remember a time many years ago, like when I was a teenager, when people got dressed up to fly. Like, if my grandmother would hear me say, I wear yoga pants over shorts and then jeans on top with a layer of T-shirts, she's like, a business suit, right? You wear a business suit to fly back in the day. But these days, you know, we have some people are wearing so few items that now airlines are coming up with a way to make sure that they've got this list of things that you can and can't wear, so they have the recourse to get you off the flight.
I do chuckle when I see the whole barefoot thing because I've never understood the barefoot thing. This isn't saying you can't wear flip-flops, you can't wear your sandals. It's saying just straight up, no shoes, going full Hobbit. That is not allowed.
Hi, Milo.
Hi, how are you guys today?
Good. Are the airlines, does this guideline bug you?
Not really. I mean, it's not like just the common sense. I'm like, you're getting on the plane, they're not on there very long. Why do you want to cause trouble? And plus, the barefoot thing's kind of nasty. I see people walking down State Street barefoot. Why do you want people to walk barefoot and having to put their feet up on the armrests and stuff? And you see their black feet and everything. That's nasty.
What do you think about Dave's Crocs, though? I mean, he wears Crocs. Those are shoes, right? He's okay.
I don't mind Crocs.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Okay, Milo.
It's not offending me. It's like, oh my gosh, someone's wearing Crocs.
Yeah,
they're offensive for different reasons. They are
Thanks,
a fashion offense. It's not a airline offense.
Yeah. So Dave and I talking about the Spirit Airlines upgrading its guidelines for what people can wear and what they can't wear on board. Being barefoot's a no-no. Inadequate clothing is a no-no. Lewd, obscene, or offensive body art is a no-no. These are the things that could get you denied being able to board, or they could get you taken off the aircraft. I think if you get past the gate agent, though, with that, how uncomfortable is it for the personnel on that craft to remove you? Like once you're belted in, it's got to stop at the gate agent.
Yes,
I think.
Well, it's the same thing when you have somebody that's had too much to drink, right? And then they allow them to get on the plane. Then you have this awkward interaction of them trying to get them off. And sometimes they go quietly. Other times they put up a fight. But I think largely what you're looking for is you've got hundreds of people on the flight. You got to play to the majority here, right? And you've got to make it as comfortable an experience as possible for everybody involved. So, you make these clear. You lay this out clearly. Mm-hmm. And then you enforce it consistently, and you know what you're going to get.
You know what we need to? It's like a no talking policy, right?
Now we're on to something.
If your seatmate has their AirPods in, it's a cue not to talk to me.
Okay, I wonder if we could have, like, when you go to the Brazilian grills and they have like the green and the red little flip on and off, like you just push the little green, like I'm willing to have a little conversation, and then you're like, I'm done. It's going red. Turn that over.
On our text line at 57500, this texter says, shoes make sense if you had to evacuate quickly, especially if there's debris. Wearing shoes is a safety issue. Dave wouldn't be able to run in his Crocs, though.
Sports mode. You can totally run in Crocs.
You can?
You're gonna pull a hamstring for sure. But you know what? You can throw them in sports mode.
Yeah. So I wear tennis shoes on flights.
Because you're looking to get a good game of pickleball in like immediately afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready.
And then
I can strip straight down to the yoga pants or the shorts.
Pack one extra pair of shoes in that backpack of mine. But it's tricky. I mean, you got to, if you're going to do it like my method, which I developed a few years ago.
Wear all the clothes. Don't pack the clothes.
Yeah, you don't need to pack them all. You just use you use your backpack for toiletries.
How are you not 1,000 degrees internal temperature?
It's cold up there at 30,000 feet. I've tried to wear flip-flops on planes before, and I regret it. My feet are freezing. Yeah, it's cold up there. So I wear everything, and then I wear tennis shoes, and then I'll pack flip-flops or buy a pair, like cheap pair that I can throw away at the end or recycle or give to somebody at the end. And then if you need a pair of I don't really need heels when I'm traveling for fun, only if I'm going to an event or something like that. So I figured out this method and it works. Have you flown a lower budget airline? Because I don't.
I've flown Spirit.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
And what were your thoughts?
Yeah, it was great. It is what it is, right? This is not like luxury travel.
Is it cheaper?
Way cheaper.
Is it?
Yeah, it was way cheaper. It was round trip for under $200. I think it was like $138 when I traveled
Where'd
to
you
Las
go?
Vegas.
Vegas?
Was it Vegas or?
Because I was
in
looking
California?
at flights for summer on Delta this summer. I usually fly Delta. I just always have. And it was a little pricey. I hate to say that. I think the cheapest I found, I want to go to New York this summer. And I think it was like just about right around $500. But some of the flights were $700, $800. So some of the lower budget airlines have some deals. And I don't think I've flown one. JetBlue, maybe? Is that lower budget?
Yeah, it's a good question, right? I mean, there's several that really restrict where they go. They've really narrowed it down, short flights. But I think having very clearly laid out what they expect in your behavior, in your dress, is very good, because you may not want all these restrictions. Though these aren't like crazy restrictions either, right? Like you can't expose your private parts. Okay, that seems probably unnecessary to write down in the rules, but nevertheless, spell it out. Let me know what I'm getting into.
I want to point out that in our 11 o'clock hour, we have a special half hour planned. The mayor of Yuma calling the show, Yuma, Arizona. It's a border town right there on the Mexico border in southern Arizona. So we're going to ask him what's changed in the last 7 days since President Trump took over and is going strong on immigration reform. He's joining the show in the 11 o'clock hour.
Sometimes when our furnace stops working, it's something simple we can fix ourselves, if we only knew how. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and the next time your furnace stops working, before you call a company out to fix it, try this first. Go shut the furnace down and make sure your air filter is clean. Go around the house and make sure the vents are open and there's nothing blocking the return air. If it's been a while since you've changed the batteries in your thermostat, go ahead and do that too. Then go turn the furnace back on, and if it stays on, you're probably good. If it stops working again, you're probably going to want a technician to check it out. If you don't know one, Any Hour Services has a special offer for any homeowners listening. One of our HVAC technicians will diagnose and troubleshoot your furnace for only $29. Then they'll explain what they found and present you with repair options. And don't worry, our technicians service all brands. Call Any Hour Services and let them know you heard about this $29 troubleshooting special on the radio. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys! I love this song! I love these nachos. I love our kickball league! Ugh! I love this guy! What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
April breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
My savings are gone.
Okay, where were they last?
Here, right before I spent them on that vacation to Aruba.
Weird. Not weird. Not saving now means no money later. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
How does a soccer club born in an unlikely place,
Utah,
You sure you want to do that in Utah?
Built with players no one else wanted.
We knew no one believed in us.
Reached the league's highest heights.
We finally did it. It was like just this feeling of getting to the top of the mountain.
Russell has made a champion out of Real Salt Lake. How does that same team find a way to shatter expectations in the midst of a fight for its own survival?
Our club is burning to the ground as we speak.
I'm Amy Donaldson, and in a new podcast, Making of a Moment, the RSL story, we take a closer look at one of those iconic sports moments.
Soccer is a crazy game, and we saw it firsthand tonight.
And unravel how knowing the truth of these moments can transform what they mean.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now. Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jessica Lowell. KSL's top story this hour is teachers advocating for their rights to union representation at a public rally this morning. Some educators gathered in response to a proposed bill that would ban collective bargaining across all of Utah's public sectors, including education. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump isn't done issuing executive orders.
As he arrived at the Pentagon for his first workday as Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth told reporters of coming executive orders affecting transgender service members and those who were kicked out of the military for refusing to be vaccinated for COVID.
The lawful orders of the President of the United States will be executed inside this Defense Department swiftly and without excuse.
Hegseth also pledged further military support for mass deportations and for security along the border. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
A new Chinese artificial intelligence model is sending rippling effects across Silicon Valley, Washington, D.C., and Wall Street. The R1 model from DeepSeek is reportedly outperforming similar U.S. models. Stakeholders now are questioning why U.S. tech needs so many resources and spends so much money to develop AI. Your money at this moment, the Dow has recovered slightly since this morning, up 61 points. S&P down 119. NASDAQ taking the biggest hit, down 704 points, or 3.5%. Coming up, haze in the north, stormy in the south. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
At JCW's, we think tipping might be getting a little out of hand. Like when you're asked to tip at the register before you've even been served, or when you're at the yogurt shop and find yourself serving yourself. And don't even get us started on frosted tips making a comeback. That's why at JCW's, when you pay for a 3rd-pound ranch bacon cheeseburger, that's what you pay. And no one at the register is going to stare longingly at you while you awkwardly maneuver through the tip screen for food you don't even have yet. Honestly, we're just happy to see you at any of our 5 locations in Provo, South Jordan, Lehigh, Harriman, and American Fork. So come on in and enjoy some quality time and great food with family and friends. And we promise, we won't be pushing you for a tip.
Hey, this is Chris with JCW's, and we just want to say thank you, and especially to our loyal customers. We want you to know that at JCW's, your business is all the tip we need. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
When you choose Performance Automotive in Bountiful, you're choosing selection, convenience, and exceptional service. 4 locations: Performance Ford Lincoln, Performance Honda, Performance Toyota, and Ford Truck Country. All dedicated to delivering you the best auto experience anywhere. Looking for your first car? Maybe you want rugged power or the stylish ride of your dreams. New or used. See it all at PerformanceBountiful.com. PerformanceBountiful.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Here's Jason Jones.
And we're looking good north and southbound I-15 from Payson all the way up to Ogden. You're not going to find any accidents or delays. It's good speeds all across the Wasatch Front. Likewise on your other major highways and major feeders over to I-15. No trouble there. If you're looking for problems in the canyons, well, you're not going to find any. Everything is moving smoothly at this point. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hazy sunshine along the Wasatch Front expected until Wednesday. Highs reach 40 degrees. In southern Utah, they'll get some much-needed rain and snowstorms. Right now, it's 30 degrees and sunny. I'm Jessica Lowell from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com or Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
We've lined up a special half hour, including a conversation with the mayor of Yuma, Arizona, which is situated, of course, close to the southern border, about President Trump's new immigration policies, which he enacted within the first hour of being inaugurated. And in fact, the Washington Post, Dave, is now reporting that he is telling ICE to ramp up arrests from, it seems like there's a few hundred per day right now, to at least 1,200 to 1,500 a day. Because according to the Washington Post, the president or people close to the president are saying that he is somewhat disappointed right now with the results of his mass deportation campaign so far.
And part of what is interesting about the way this is taking place, it's not just towns that are on the border or cities that are on the border. This is happening in the interior. It's happening in Miami. It's happening in Chicago. So some of these ICE raids, as they're being called, are going inside the country, grabbing people up and then and shipping them out.
Let's get live right now with the mayor of Yuma, Douglas Nichols. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you for joining us. Paint us a picture of what it looks like today, and then take us back like a week and a couple of days, how it looked under the Biden administration.
Right now, for the last week, it's been very, very quiet along the border. We probably have had 30 to 40 people cross illegally in that time period a day. Now, if we go back to the middle of the Biden administration, we peaked at 1,500 people crossing a day, but we probably averaged closer probably to about the 700 people a day during the Biden administration.
So your experience now that you're getting just a fraction of this, maybe 5% of what you normally have seen, what has that meant for your town?
Well, so for our town, it's a sense of a security. We have been very fortunate, and our Border Patrol here does an amazing job. Even during those very, very extreme times, they only ever had releases to the streets 2 or 3 days in those 4 years. So we didn't really have to deal with the humanitarian issues on the streets that some of the other cities have had to deal with. I give that to the credit of the local Border Patrol chiefs, as they understood the community and how we don't have resources to help those feed or even transport people in the greater community.
We're speaking live right now with the mayor of Yuma, Arizona, which is a border town very near Mexico. I believe it's Mexicali, Mayor. Is that the?
So we're at the corner of two Mexican states, the Baja California, which Mexicali is roughly 30 minutes away, and then Sonora, which is the nearest city is San Luis Rio, Colorado, and they're right on the border with just south of us.
Now, the president announced that he was also going to be sending military troops to the border as well. Have you seen any military arrive? And I mean, I know there's military in Yuma because you have the Marine base there, but any additional troops for this particular mission?
Right now, we do have a contingent of National Guard, but they've been here for a little while. We have no official word that we'll be getting more troops, but we do expect, just on the order of things, how many troops that they're calling up, that we will expect to have some show up here to help support Border Patrol.
We're speaking with the mayor of Yuma, Doug Nichols. And Mayor, when you have these highs, whether it's 1,500 per day, 700 per day, and now it's down to 30 or 40 per day, is this an enforcement, or how do you explain that kind of reduction?
Well, so you have to kind of step back and look at the situation as a business model. The cartels who control all the activity that goes along the border, south of the border, they look at, like every business, risk and reward. And the message that President Trump put out is very is going to affect their business model dramatically. So they're not interested in trying to push people across the border to not have success. So they've reduced how they're approaching. Now, are they going to give up? I don't believe they will, because they've created a multi-billion-dollar business of moving people, and they move them as a commodity. But what it really shows is, what I asked the Biden administration is just to verbally say more stringent things along the border, because that has a very powerful effect. You eventually do have to follow it up with actual action, but as you can see, President Trump has just verbally said anything. It's taken a while to get these things rolled out, but it has an immediate impact on the decisions made by the cartels, as well as the individuals who may or may not look to try to come into the country.
Mayor, I think for people who haven't been to the border or aren't familiar with how the cartels operate on the border, particularly, let's talk specifics about human trafficking. How were they in the past able to get people across the border?
So really, it comes down to the fact that they get people to the border, and with the actual border wall in the sections that we do have, and most of our sector has, at least in the operational areas, most of it is covered by wall. The wall is not on the actual border, because the border is in the middle of the Colorado River. It's up on the bank on the American side. So as soon as their cartels push people past the middle of the river, they're within the United States. So by federal law, we can't just push them back. You have to then handle them through the legal process. And so that's the point at which they actually look to engage Border Patrol, because they want to, in the past, in the last 4 years, wanted to get into the system. Once they're into the system, they have a temporary right to be in the country. That is changing through expedited removal and through the Remain in Mexico and all those type of programs, where when they come across the border, they're going to get picked up and they're going to get processed, but they're going to be returned either to their home country or to Mexico, because we have to. I guess the message is, as you cross the center of the river, all of a sudden you're in the country, and it has to be dealt with. It can't just be pushed back.
Yuma Mayor Doug Nichols is joining us right now. And Mayor, when you see what is happening right now, where the ICE enforcement is happening not just along the border, but in the interior of the United States, in areas like Chicago and Colorado, what do you make of that, where it's perhaps taking some of the resources needed along the border and moving them in country?
So there's within DHS there are different divisions. So Border Patrol has the requirement along the actual border to be boots on the ground, doing the actual enforcement at the border. ICE is an ERO. They are part of the enforcement side. So after things happen with Border Patrol, then ICE gets involved. So they're not taking people off the border. They are actually doing the enforcement job. Because so many people have been moved past the border area, ICE now has a much bigger area to cover. Whereas if in years past, when we've had issues on the border, ICE gets involved as a direct handoff from Border Patrol. So they don't people don't get released and then have to be chased down by ICE. They just get directly transferred from Border Patrol to ICE. And so in years past, it's been a lot more efficient. Now we have to go and really look at how to find people that, these criminals, the violent criminals that are being currently being tracked down to be repatriated to their countries. It's just much more difficult. And ICE has been defunded over the last 4 years, and so they are down in the number of people that they should have for the mission that they do have.
Mayor, I also know that Yuma is, you're a farming community as well, and there has been at least reports that I've read somewhat of a sting that's been sent. At least maybe some farm workers are not showing up. I've read reports. I haven't seen it firsthand, but you're there in Yuma. Are people immigrants who are working on these farms, are they being arrested? Or are you concerned that this will impact your farming industry there in Yuma?
So in talking with our farmers here, and this has been true for years, they're only interested in legal labor because they have to have assured labor sources to bring produce in. Produce has a very, very short window at which it can be harvested. Mm-hmm. And so they are only interested in legal labor, whether that's H-2A foreign labor or domestic labor. They do not depend upon the illegal workforce like it might happen in other parts of the country where maybe things are less time sensitive. But here in Yuma, we don't experience that as has been reported here in a lot of the national news.
Because it doesn't. I mean, don't you guys grow a lot of lettuce there?
Yes. So just to give you the Chamber of Commerce line, we grow 95% of the leafy greens that United States and Canada consumes all during the winter season. So if you've had a lettuce in the last couple months, it came from Yuma.
Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea.
I love salads. And so, you start hearing about these crackdowns. I think we naturally wonder what that could do, if anything, to our food supply. So thank you for giving that context.
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mayor. What's the outlook? Is there anything that concerns you with the way things are going down, or is it an optimistic vision of the future for you guys?
I think it's optimistic, really based upon surety and security. When we can't really get around to a true discussion on immigration reform until you have control along the border, and so that's my desire. That's my outlook, and my hope is that we get to the point of having an updated immigration discussion as a country, where we can facilitate those that truly need asylum, and we can bring in the workforce we need in an orderly fashion. But also too, that the federal government is now actually taking responsibility for federal issues and not pushing it off on the local government.
Do you feel in the last week, and I know it's early on in his second term, do you feel in the last week that you've been more impressed with President Trump's policies and hard line that he's taken than you were with former President Biden?
In the first Trump administration, we also declared an emergency along the border, and President Trump actually invited me to the White House one-on-one to sit down and talk about the issue. Within 3 months, we had it resolved. There's a lot more action, whereas in the Biden administration, I was in communication with the administration, but we rarely saw any sort of positive change that would affect border security. So from just knowing the past and only a week in, I think things are looking more like the first term to get things secure and under control.
Mayor, I would guess that one of the most frustrating parts of what happens is the inconsistency from year to year, kind of the trends where there is a crackdown and then it eases up. How do you deal with the inconsistency?
It's all about the advocacy to try to gain consistency. We look to be partners as much as we can, but recognizing it's a federal issue, all I can do is advocate for how things impact us as a community. It's very difficult to promote economic development along a border when there's chaos, and the only thing people see in the news is how bad it is. When you come to visit Yuma, you don't see that. But I've got to push against this national discussion. And so having a secure border gives us more surety for how we can grow our community and not have to fight this perception that there's chaos and a lot of crime in our community.
Mayor, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We're speaking with Yuma Mayor Doug Nichols. Best of luck.
Wow, great. Thank you so much, taking so much of your time to give us an idea of what the landscape is there now since President Trump took over the Oval Office and has laid down a very hard line when it comes to immigration.
I think what stood out to me more than anything, as he was describing the border, he said, I look at it as a business, and the cartels are making billions of dollars on the business of moving people. Mm-hmm. And he said at its peak, Yuma was getting 1,500 people per day. On average, it would be about 700 people a day. But now, with President Trump taking office, and even the weeks leading up to it, that they went from 1,500 as a peak down to about 30 or 40 interactions per day. And he said it's because, in his opinion, the cartels are looking at it from a business standpoint. He said if the cartels don't believe that they can get people across the border and get them to stay across the border, then the business breaks down. Mm-hmm. And so the idea that this stance, that this enforcement from Donald Trump is directly hurting the cartels in their business, again, that's a huge win.
You got to stay one step ahead of them. They're creative, though, right? Mm-hmm. When businesses face the possibility of getting shut down or going out of business, they come up with creative ways, no matter what business model you're running, and that includes the criminals as well. So they got to stay ahead of that, because when there's a will, there's a way, and when there's money involved, they figure out a way to get around. The other thing that I would say is that I appreciated the mayor explaining what was going on with the crops there in Yuma.
Yes.
Obviously, 95% of our lettuce supply, and for those of us who like veggies and fruits, in our diet, this is an important crop, right? And they don't sound concerned that they're going to lose workers because they've gone about it in the legal path. I don't know what's going to happen in other parts of the country, but he's reassured us at least our lettuce crop is going to be harvested.
I'm really glad you asked that specific question, because you used to work down in Yuma. You know firsthand what that means to the community and the agriculture. Mm-hmm. And obviously, as he said, 95% of the leafy greens that you're eating in the winter, they're coming from Yuma. But what I like about that is he said it is largely legal labor. He's like, that there's very little incentive to bring in illegal labor to harvest. So he's like, this really doesn't affect us, which I think pushes against some of the narrative that when you do crack down and you do start enforcing some of the illegal immigration that is happening, that it's going to decimate our agriculture supply. And the Yuma mayor says, no, that's not the case. In fact, we are incentivized to just use legal labor so that it doesn't have this up and down. Yeah. We have some consistency.
It would be difficult to run a business
if you don't know how many people you're going to have for harvest. Yeah.
Or how many people just don't show up to work because they're afraid. Mm-hmm. Because they're afraid that they're going to get picked up by either Border Patrol or Immigration Customs Enforcement. This is a big topic that we're going to be covering a lot this week here at KSL News Radio. In fact, in a few minutes, we're also going to hear from News Nation about an update regarding what seemed to be like a trade war that was started this weekend between the White House and Colombia, where Colombia would not receive some immigrants who had been arrested and were being sent back to Colombia. And in mid-flight, it sounded like the plane was diverted because Colombia said, no, we're not taking them. And then a trade war ensued. The President Trump saying he's going to implement I think it started at a 25% tariff and it was going to climb to 50%. And we're already in this, right? We're already in this. And then Colombia reversed course, I think probably because of the threat of tariffs on coffee and chocolate and other things and other exports. I think they also export, I think it's fruits and nuts
Yeah, a huge growing exporter. And this standoff, it was interesting because initially the Colombian president, Petro, he was pushing back pretty strongly against the Trump administration, and then in a matter of hours, completely reversed course and gave in to all of the demands.
The mayor of Yuma just getting off the line with us moments ago saying that under the new administration, he feels optimistic.
I think it's optimistic, really based upon surety and security. You know, when we can't really get around to a true discussion on immigration reform until you have control along the border. And so that's my desire, that's my outlook, and my hope is that we get to the point of having an updated immigration discussion as a country, where we can facilitate those that truly need asylum, and we can bring in the workforce we need in an orderly fashion. But also too that the federal government is now actually taking responsibility for federal issues and not pushing it off on the local government.
The newest part of your morning, and still so familiar.
When you wake up and listen to a radio show, it's like you're a part of a family. You're listening in on people you know, and it's magnificent that Andy Farnsworth is sitting in the chair because he's someone we know.
Utah's Morning News. Andy Farnsworth joins Amanda Dixon to bring you important news in the car. 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Where can you kick off the new year with big savings on gig speed? Only with Xfinity, now through January 30th. Get gig internet at home for $25 a month for 1 year when you add an unlimited mobile line, which connects you to gig speed Wi-Fi on the road. Act fast today and save more than $650 over AT&T and Verizon in your first year. Plus, hurry and take advantage, because right now you can also get a free 5G phone with trade-in. So save big and stay connected to what you love with fast gig speed internet and mobile. From home to hotspots, this new year, it's all about gig speeds and big savings. Don't wait and get gig speed internet. Spend less green and switch to Xfinity. Go to Xfinity.com/gig savings to learn more. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. $40 internet discount applied to mobile bill. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon Fiber Gig Plus 1 Unlimited Welcome Line and AT&T Fiber Gig Plus 1 Unlimited Starter Line. Xfinity internet required. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Utah State Fair Park. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Utah State Fair Park. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend, Utah State Fair Park. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Utah State Fair Park. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Utah State Fair Park. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Utah State Fair Park. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission. Free delivery. Utah State Fair Park. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Sherry, what have you done to your hair?
What do you mean? Does it not look good?
It doesn't look good. It looks freaking amazing. I can't believe how thick and healthy it looks. Oh, I must know your secret.
No secret. It's hair volume from New Nordic.
Hair volume, huh? Well, it certainly lives up to its name. Your hair has never looked so thick. It is gorgeous.
I was so tired of having thin and brittle hair. Ugh, and the shedding. So I figured I'd give hair volume a try. Needless to say, I'm thrilled with the results. Hey, where are you going?
I'm gonna pick up some hair volume right now. My reunion's next month and I want my hair to look as good as yours.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural health products from New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Scandinavia. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or your local CVS. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy. Help your hair look full, voluminous, and beautiful again at newnordicusa.com or CVS.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop texts, stopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Jeff Kaplan. I'm energized by breaking news. First of all, because it's right now, and second of all, because in many cases the audience needs to know. There's no more important service that we can provide, and I find it critically important to get more details to the audience as quickly as possible. There's nothing more energizing than that for me. Not at all. The most important thing we do is breaking news. I am gratified that so many people listen to me every afternoon on KSL, but what they don't know is that there are so many people behind the scenes making it happen, checking on the traffic, answering the phones, making the calls, talking to the newsmakers. They're out in the street, into the field to get the raw information, and then putting it all together so that I can sit in front of a microphone and be a source of information every afternoon. But there are so many people who make it happen. That's what you don't know.
Ride Home with Jeff Kaplan, weekdays 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top local story this hour. A Utah lawmaker says a large number of families are accruing school lunch debt, and he's proposed a bill to make it easier for struggling families to qualify for free lunch.
But if the program is accruing, somewhere in the range of $2 to $3 million of school lunch debt every year, that's just the tip of the iceberg. What's the underlying problem? And that's kids are going hungry in the class.
Representative Tyler Clancy tells Dave and Dujanovic families who were once thought of as middle class are now struggling with inflation and the cost of food. He also says more needs to be done to get rid of the stigma that some kids feel when they get free lunch at school. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A new study shows some heart disease risk factors like high blood pressure are increasing.
The American Heart Association's report says risk factors for heart disease like diabetes and obesity continue to rise. And that's bad news, says ABC Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Tara Narula.
Cardiovascular disease kills more Americans than all forms of cancer and accidents combined.
The cardiologist says that lifestyle changes like diet and exercise can make a difference.
80% of cardiovascular disease is preventable.
Report says if this trend continues, U.S. health costs will rise 300% by 2050. Brian Clark, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 40 points, S&P is down 118. And coming up, it's getting warmer and hazier. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
It's a new year. How about a new you? Have you thought about losing some weight? Well, if you have, Salt Lake City Fat Loss was fantastic for me. Salt Lake City Fat Loss told me that I can learn how to lose up to a pound of fat per day on their program without injections and without surgery. Those were two things at the top of my list. I wanted to make sure I could lose some weight without surgery, without injections. And they said, okay, here's the plan. And for 60 days, that was the reduction phase. For 60 days, I was so good on this plan. I didn't cheat, in part because I paid for it. Now, you might think, oh, Dave, you just lost it because they gave it to you for free. No, I got to pay for it just like you guys do. And that kept me honest. And sure, it would be great if we didn't have to pay for stuff, but It is the only thing I found over the years that kept me on the program. And then when I stayed on the program, I saw big results. I lost 50 pounds in 60 days. I think you'd be interested. Go ahead and reach out to them. Schedule a free consultation at slcfatloss.com. That's SLC Fat Loss. Oh, by the way, you get $200 off the program right now if you do it, if you sign up right now. So go ahead and check it out, slcfatloss.com.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Here's Ricky Meese.
Salt Lake City PD wrapping up a crash downtown at 3rd East and South Temple. If you're traveling the Valley freeways, you're good to go. No accidents or delays. Visit the boat show January 30th through February 2nd at Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy. This is your opportunity to shop, compare, and buy the boat of your dreams. Visit UtahBoatShow.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 37 today with sunny skies. After that, we'll see a few days of hazy sunshine. The next storm is expected on Saturday. Right now, it is 30 and fair. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Priced Out, housing, special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
I was driving into work this morning, Dave, listening to Utah's Morning News, as I always do. Andy and Amanda. And they reported that their Park City, and that we have a list of other cities as well, not just Park City, has seen a price increase of 114% from 2023 to 2024 in just 1 year in the median price of homes.
Thanks a lot, Redfin. Thanks a lot for that data. If you want to make me incredibly sad in knowing that I will never, ever live in Park City, that's the data point right there. 114% increase year over year.
2.9 million. Is what a home sold for on average last year in Park City. But it's not just Park City. Actually, Park City is seeing the biggest price increases. But let's go over to Bountiful. 21.5% increase. You now get a home in Bountiful for about $535,000. Syracuse, however, has seen a dip in home prices, down to almost 4%.
I think this is a great example because I just moved into Syracuse.
Oh, you did?
It's a great example of supply and demand. There has been incredible building that's been happening in Syracuse. It is all over the place. You have the West Davis corridor, the West Davis highway that has gone through that has made it far more accessible to Syracuse. And it has been incredible to see this growth. Townhomes, condos, single-family dwellings. It has exploded. So then you've seen in this very small pocket, because most everywhere in Utah, prices have gone up. In Syracuse, it's dropped by 4%.
It's still $525K median home price in Syracuse. Price way out east, right? Did I get that right? Price is like on the way to Grand Junction, Colorado, under $300,000, but the prices there have gone up 8%. Somebody on our text line asked about Morgan, Utah, up north, maybe about 40, 50 minutes north of Salt Lake. Median home price is over $700K there. It's gone up 20%. And we're going to get Ogden Mayor Ben Nodowski. Are you on the line up, Mayor?
I am. Thanks for having me.
Hi. It's good to talk to you. I'm flipping around my numbers here. I'm trying to find Ogden. Oh, Dave's got Ogden's. Go ahead.
It looks like 373,000. Now, that is up 6% year over year. But right now, if you're looking at 373,000, all of a sudden you become one of the more affordable cities in the entire state. Are you seeing the same thing, or would you say that's a fair assessment?
I think it's a fair assessment, but if you look at us compared to the rest of the state and the rest of the nation, I think we're in pretty good shape. But the measure that really matters is how people are feeling in their day-to-day lives. And so we are feeling the squeeze locally just like everybody else is, even though nationally I think we're faring a lot better than a lot of cities.
Well, the home price right now, $375,000-ish or so. I mean, that's a median home. So you got some that are less than that, and some that are a lot more than that. Are people feeling okay in your town with that price point?
Not necessarily. Like I just said, it really comes down to how much people's ability to earn a wage is keeping track with people's ability to pay for the household costs. So we try to look at the cost of housing within the context of household costs, energy, taxes, transportation costs, with things like that. So yes, our housing numbers are doing well, but what are the other impacts to someone's ability to keep pace, and how do we drive up the ability to earn a livable wage and a family supportable wage while driving down or keeping as much stable as possible the household costs?
We're speaking with Ogden City Mayor Ben Nadolski. And Mayor, we've heard a lot from the governor, from the legislature. They're trying to promote and encourage developers to build more starter homes, single-family dwellings. Now, Ogden is one of the most historic cities in the state. Does new building, is that even a possibility, or is Ogden largely built out? And how do you address some of those pitches from the legislature, from the governor, to expand and increase with new builds?
Yeah, you make a perfect point. Ogden is a historic city, and we call ourselves a legacy city. We are largely built out. There's only about 7% of our land overall within our city boundaries that's still developable. So the push for supply in order to meet and exceed demand to drive prices down is not really something that we can do by ourselves within our city limits. It does set us apart. That's why we call ourselves a legacy city. But the governor and the legislature's push for building our way out of it is something that we in Ogden are all in support of. It's just that we can't quite do that within our own boundaries. So we support our neighboring cities in that push, while also ensuring and pushing our legacy city needs, because most of our existing housing stock that we already have actually meets the definition of a first-time home. And so the push isn't necessarily to build more new, although we're pushing the pedal as much as we can in that regard. We want to make sure that we're investing in and stabilizing the homes that we already have and moving them out of rental opportunity and into ownership opportunity.
Okay. Mayor, before I let you go, we're talking about families being able to afford, or home buyers being able to afford the whole picture, not just the mortgage, but they got to afford utilities, they got to afford repairs. What would be, in your view, a reasonable price point on a home? It's now at like $375,000-ish for them to be able to do that. Is it $300,000? Is it less than that? I'm just curious what you're seeing.
Well, I think that a reasonable price to expect is different for everybody depending on where they're at in life.
Sure.
And so I don't want to presuppose what's reasonable for me and put that on all of our
Seems like we may
housing
have.
that's available.
Sorry, Mayor, you cut out a little bit there.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
We got
I
you
just
back.
want to make sure that we're focused on maintaining the spectrum of housing types across the spectrum of affordability. Because if you look at the housing as a whole, it's a cycle depending on where you are in life. And we want to make sure that we've got ample opportunities for first-time home buyers, and that anytime someone moves out of a first-time home and into their second home, for example, it actually opens up another opportunity for someone to get into the first-time home. And so we have a completely different approach because we don't have the land available to build our way out of it. And so we want to support our neighbors in increasing stock as much as possible. And we ask for their support in increasing ownership opportunities as much as possible in our own city. And so it does call for a different approach and a different paradigm.
Mayor Nadolski, thank you for taking the time and joining us. I guess when I look at Ogden, Debbie, and it really is this legacy historic city, he makes a good point. It has a lot of inventory for first-time home buyers that it would absolutely falls under that $375,000 number.
Yeah.
So, but you have to have some balance. So if you buy your first home and you want to upgrade, you've got to have this mix. You can't just have this glut of first-time homes. You have to be able to grow into something as well. And sometimes we forget about that. We focus so much on affordable housing that we say, well, part of the reason we can create affordable housing is when families grow up and upgrade and get that second or third home.
I feel like we're grasping at ropes of sand, though, with this crisis to some degree. When I see these major percent increases in pricing, 21% year over year in Bountiful, Tremonton up 6%, Layton 4%, Clearfield 10%, Magna up 10%, Logan up 10%, Morgan up 20%. Like, we're trying to get to the point in this state where we are building first-time homes for people who can't afford, anything more than $400,000, which is still eye-popping number. Who would have thought that would have been the price point of a first-time home for a first-time buyer? I feel like for every inch that we crawl, with this crisis, it's, the problem escapes us by a mile.
And in part, as the mayor said, because you've got cities that are largely built out. He said in Ogden, we only have 7% remaining that can even be developed because we're largely built out. And there's a lot of cities around here that are running into that very problem.
Straight ahead, continuing our coverage on President Trump's immigration plan. It was a trade war almost that fizzled within 24 hours. The United States versus Colombia. News Nation up next with the significance of what happened over the weekend.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Behind many of Utah's most impactful communications campaigns is a talented team of dedicated, creative professionals whose lasting success reflects their remarkable and far-reaching influence. Here to talk about their staying power is Dave Smith, partner and CEO of Penna Powers.
As an agency that specializes in creative advertising, public relations, digital, social media, and public involvement work, Penna Powers' mission is to move people. We care deeply about the issues that Utah faces and attribute our 40 years of staying power to our results, our people, and our clients. Over time, the faces and functions at the agency have changed. We've traded in film reels and drawing boards for digital displays and software suites. But our core and drive has always been to interpret research, find key insights, apply strategic problem solving, deliver killer creative, and make meaningful connections. Whether it's a focus on safe driving, scam awareness, voting, vaccines, new jobs, clean air, or groceries, our big, bold ideas and client collaborations provide results year after year. We're thankful our staying power has moved people for the last 40 years. We can't wait to see what's in store for the next 40.
Having a company like Penna Powers that not only cares about the work they do, but proactively seeks to stay ahead and improve, ensures a lasting positive impact on our community. To learn more, visit pennapowers.com. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Take advantage of Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric's $99 or it's free mainline drain clearing special. That's right, $99 or it's free. Feel secure knowing the trusted professionals at Yes guarantee that if we can't clear it, you don't pay for it. Whether it's a small clog or a larger mainline sewer drain issue, the experienced technicians at Yes are ready to solve all of your drain problems. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
Dave and Dujanovic.
We're going to get live with News Nation. It's going to give us an update on the almost trade war that happened over the weekend. If you missed it, the United States tried to send immigrants to Colombia, and the plane was diverted midair.
Yeah, this was fascinating to watch it unfold because this is on a Sunday, and typically, we can unplug on a weekend. So this was happening, this kind of crackdown was happening on a Sunday, and part of what was so unique about this is President Trump has enlisted the military and we're talking like C-130s, military aircraft, and loading deportees onto these airplanes, and then they're flying them military style to these countries. They dropped off people in Ecuador, and then this one in Colombia was very interesting because as they are entering Colombia, they were denied passage. They were told they cannot land. So they've got two airplanes full of folks that are being deported, and they were turned around. And then it just launches off this battle between the two countries, between President Trump and then President Petro of Colombia.
Yeah, a 25% tariff was threatened. Robert Sherman, News Nation national correspondent. Trump threatened at least a 25% tariff. I heard at least 50% on imports from Colombia. And then what happened from there?
Yeah, I mean, you make a really good point about watching all this play out, because just about all of it played out in the public sphere here. I mean, you saw the president coming out and putting on Truth Social that if Colombia doesn't play ball, they're looking at a 25% tariff, which will jump to 50% after a week. Visa restrictions and things of that nature as well. A whole slew of penalties that Colombia would be facing. Well, I mean, just by that evening, all of a sudden, the Foreign Ministry of Colombia announced that the impasse had been resolved and that there was a deal between the two nations. And now all of a sudden you see this going off according to plan for the president. And I think the big thing here is that we've heard him talk this talk for the last couple of months, that he is prepared to use tariffs and threats of tariffs as a tool in order to broker the kind of deals that he wants, particularly when it comes to immigration. Well, this is the first time that we've seen it play out in which, I mean, you really had the president going all the way on this, and he ultimately got the outcome that he was looking for here. So this was all of our first indications of what this could potentially look like. And now the question is, what does Canada do? What does Mexico do? Those are the two countries that have been mentioned so constantly by this president, and they're still waiting to see what comes next.
Part of what stood out to me was it almost felt like a poker game where maybe President Petro from Colombia thought that President Trump was bluffing, that he wasn't going to go all in. But then to see President Trump just literally push all the chips in, it seems, with tariffs and visa restrictions. And then ultimately it just felt like President Petro had to fold and concede completely and gave in to every one of the demands of the president.
Yeah, I think that your analogy is a really good one, particularly on the all-in aspect, is that, I mean, you look at this series of penalties here, 25% tariff, after a week that goes up to 50%. I mean, Colombia and the United States do have pretty significant trade relations, particularly when you look at kind of commodities such as coffee, such as oil as well, and do rely on the United States as a trade partner from that aspect there. I mean, those are pretty significant consequences that the Colombians would be facing if they didn't let those planes touch down. And now it seems as though it's just that a warning shot has been fired here by this current administration that this is what's going to happen if you're a country here in the region and are refusing to play ball on the issue of immigration.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Robert Sherman from News Nation, national correspondent, as we watch Colombia, quite frankly, buckle under Trump's threats to have incredible tariffs. I mean, 25% tariff was unbelievable, but then he escalated it even more. It's like, but if you don't figure this out in a week, that's jumping to 50.
As part of our special coverage today on President Trump's immigration policy, we had Yuma Mayor Douglas Nichols live on the line with us about 45 minutes ago. He joined us for several minutes to talk about what this border town now looks like compared to what it looked like under the Biden administration. And frankly, he painted a picture that things have really quieted down in the last several days at the border, at the southern border.
Right now, for the last week, it's been very, very quiet along the border. We've probably have had 30 to 40 people cross illegally in that time period a day. Now, if we go back to the middle of the Biden administration, we peaked at 1,500 people crossing a day, but we probably averaged closer probably to about the 700 people a day during the Biden administration.
Those are incredible reductions from 1,700 or 700 on average per day, a peak of 1,500 down to a few dozen. That is an incredible reduction. Now, one of the things that the mayor of Yuma has said in the past, because we've spoken to him a couple times, he said cartels are running a business here. It's a multi-billion-dollar business trafficking people across the border. And what the cartels do is almost like a faucet. They turn it on and they turn it off. So right now, they've turned it off and they've stopped crossing people because all the attention is on the border right now. What happens and what they're betting on is that we will lose interest in the border as Americans. And as soon as we lose energy and focus, then they will turn that faucet back on and start sending people back across.
We also talked to him about what they're seeing in terms of military, and he said that the National Guard had been there, and they didn't seem at this point that they'd gotten any additional troops, but that is something that they're certainly going to be on watch for. The other thing he talked to us about was, Yuma is a major supplier of our lettuce. There's a lot of crops that grow in Yuma and El Centro that supply us with very perishable, produce, right? This is not stuff that has a long shelf life. And you can't, I don't know if you ever tried, but you can't freeze lettuce. Like even if it's accidentally at the back of the fridge and it gets a little too frosty, it's ew, right? And he said one of the things that the farming industry in Yuma has assured him of is that they use legal people who are here legally to harvest the crops. And the reason they do that, again, it goes to their business model. They cannot risk the idea of having Border Patrol or ICE agents swoop in and arrest or take into custody numerous employees. So he said, 95% of our lettuce supply, was it just during this time of year that he indicated, during the winter months, is grown in that area. It's a huge amount of lettuce. And I know when I go out into the grocery store, that's one of the things I get concerned about with this policy is this going to impact our produce supply? And at this point, this early on, it's super early on, the mayor of Yuma is like, lettuce is going to be there.
And it will be very interesting to see if the Trump administration prioritizes these H-2A visas. And these are the temporary agriculture worker visas so that people can come in, work for several months, and then go back home. But you're going to have to prioritize this to make sure that this void and this gets filled.
Straight ahead, Maria's up next with all the day's news, including this educators meeting on Capitol Hill to celebrate public education.